All is well. I hope your Monday is going well, or whatever day it is, wherever you're at. I hope you are having a great and awesome day. I really do. Guys, listen, Christmas is coming up. Like, what's today? Today is the 18th. We are a week away from Christmas. Time has flown by. I remember when it was Christmas of 2022. Now we are in 2023, and the year is pretty much over. Again, the year is pretty much over. This year has gone by fast. I mean, these last couple of years have absolutely flown by. So I hope you guys have had a productive year. I hope everything that you wanted to accomplish this year you were able to accomplish. And if not, I hope you're able or put in a position to hit your mark of whatever you want to do, or be put in a position to accomplish what you want to accomplish next year. Everyone, please hit that like button. As you come into the chat room, please hit the like button. Also, make sure you share and make sure you subscribe. We have a couple of announcements. Announcement number one, we are rolling to Senegal. We are rolling to Senegal May 12th to the 22nd. Again, we are rolling to Senegal May 12th through the 22nd. Okay, please visit Danfo. Again, please visit Danfo, DANFO dot Africa. Again, please visit Danfo, DANFO dot Africa to learn more. Again, we are rolling to Senegal for the Jazz Festival for the St. Louis Jazz Festival in Senegal. We're gonna have a great time. I mean, these are clips from the trip from last year, 2022, and we had an awesome time. We had a lot of fun. So what I do, yeah, man, we lost a close one. Yeah, I'm still hurting from that. I ain't gonna lie, I'm still hurting from that. We lost a close one. The dogs, we lost a close one, man. I was looking forward to that back-to-back-to-back three-peat. But hey, we got a two-peat. Um, we have to be thankful. And, we just got to work hard and run it back again next year. Again, we just got to work hard and run it back again next year. But this is the footage, some of the clips from the tour. I need to post more of the content from the tour from last year. There are several videos from the tour from last year that are already up. But yeah, so Senegal, May 12th to the 22nd for the Jazz Festival. And then we are rolling. Here we go. Here goes Elvis trolling. Now, Elvis, I know you don't know anything about no Roll Tide. You up there in Minnesota. You need to say go Gophers. All right, you in Minnesota. You need to say go Gophers. That's what you need to be saying. Root for your team, the Gophers. Y'all haven't won nothing and y'all ain't gonna win nothing. All right. So we'll go ahead and put that out there now. Y'all haven't won nothing and y'all ain't gonna win nothing. Okay. Facts. Facts. All right. Man, we about to beat y'all. We about to beat Florida State. And then we are rolling to the Oshun Festival, August 4th through the 13th. August 4th through the 13th. We are rolling to the Oshun. Let me take this down here, bro. That just makes me want to, that's just an eyesore seeing Roll Tide roll. We are rolling to the Oshun Festival, August 4th through the 13th. August 4th through the 13th. All right, again, visit Donfo. Shout out to Information Man. Shout out to you, brother. From the hometown of Sacktown, Sacramento, California. Shout out to you, Information Man. August 4th through the 13th. August 4th through the 13th, we will be in Nigeria. In fact, I'm going to Nigeria next month. So I'm taking a small group to Benin Republic for the Voodoo Festival. Then from there, I'm gonna go to Nigeria for about a week, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm really looking. That NC boys froze like Mitch McConnell. Okay. Yeah. So I'm rolling to Nigeria shortly after that. I'm looking forward to that. So visit Danfo. That's Danfo. Shout out to Ayana. Ayana, where you been? You've been hiding for uh, a couple years now. Shout out to Ayana. Visit Danfo, Danfo dot Africa. Again, please visit Danfo, Danfo dot Africa to learn more. Okay. Hey, shout outs. Thank you for the super chat information man show. Much respect to you, brother. Love what you do. Thank you. That really means a lot. That really means a lot. Leo Flight fights back. Hey y'all, if black people can spend $5,000 on a watch, 5,000 for Africa trip is nothing. I'll pay 5,000 quick. Well, Leo, we'll love to have you. Come on one of the tours, brother. Okay, come on one of the tours. Visit Africa and come and join us. If you have not bought, if you're watching this, listen, if you are watching this right now, if you have not bought the documentary In Search of Uhuru, again, if you have not bought the documentary In Search of Uhuru, the number one documentary out, the number one documentary out, please visit search for uhuru.com. Again, please visit search for uhuru.com and buy the documentary. Okay, it's streaming right now. You buy it, you set up a login, and you're able to stream it. Boom, bam, pop, right there. All right, and it's yours forever. It is yours forever. And the bigger play, I'm working on a streaming site, guys. Again, I'm working on a streaming site. Yeah, go and support. Go and support. Buy the documentary. So I'm working on a streaming platform where I'll be hosting other content, and it'll be like Netflix. It'll be similar to Netflix. So hopefully that will launch next year. I'll keep everyone posted. No, you forgot how to log in. Listen, you can reset your password. So when you go to log in, there's a way to reset your password so you can log back in and watch it. Shout out to brother Sikir Brown. Shout out to you, bro. Hope all is well, man. Hope your cousin's doing good as well. All right, let's jump into today's topic. All right. You know, a lot of people have been coming online and trying to define Pan Africanism and gatekeeping Pan Africanism and saying this person isn't a Pan African, that person isn't a Pan African. This is what makes you a Pan African. And this is what Pan Africanism is to me. All right, this is how I define Pan Africanism. And if you disagree with this, when I put the link in the chat room, you are more than welcome. You are more. It's like some people feel like they have ownership to Pan Africanism. But from my understanding, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, and you know, the link will be in the chat room here in about 20 or 30 minutes. I wasn't aware that Pan Africanism was a centralized organization. I just thought it was a way of thinking, a way of thought. Now, you can correct me if I'm wrong. And I hear and see a lot of people who are wanting to move the goalposts when it comes to Pan Africanism so it will fit their own personal agenda. But I don't want to overcomplicate Pan Africanism. I think we do. You know, we read all these books, and it becomes a who read the most book for. And listen to me. You know what Pan Africanism is to me. And if you guys disagree with me, again, shout out to Mr. Ife Olua for the super chat, the $5 holla. We're just gonna round that penny up. We're gonna round that $4.99 up. We're gonna add an extra. We're gonna add a penny and just say $5. Pan Africanism to me, right, is I want brothers like Information Man Show, Sister Yana, Tom O'Ray, Mr. Ife Olua, Makia. I just want to see y'all win. I want to see everybody of African descent win. If you are a righteous person, if you're doing the right thing, if you are an honorable man or woman, I just want to see you win. That's all. I want to see you successful. And and I'm not here to be picky and petty. And you agree with this politics, you agree with this form of politics. Uh, red is your favorite color, but red ain't my favorite color, so you ain't a Pan African. You support this politician, I support this politician. It ain't your politician, so you ain't a Pan African. I ain't got time for all that. Listen, if you are a good dude or a good woman and you contribute to your community, if you are a great example, let's move past the petty nonsense of conservatism and liberalism and this ism and that ism. Because guess what? In life, in real life, in adult life, everyone is not going to agree on everything. Does that make that person a horrible person? Again, does that make that individual a horrible person just because that person might have a civic duty, practices a civic duty, and votes for someone that you might not like? Does that make that person a horrible person? Because I don't know. But it's just a whole lot lately. I've just been seeing people moving the Pan African goalposts. And I'm just going to simplify it. Pan Africanism to me, I just want to see folks of African descent win. That's it. That's all. I want to see you guys be great. That's it. That's all. Shout out to Kyla Genesis for the super chat. I believe that everyone has their own interpretation. Right. I just, and when people start calling people out and saying that person's not a Pan African, I'm like, well, hold on. Let's see what he does. Let's see what he's done. Okay, you might not agree with his statement here, but does that subtract from what he's done here, over here? And then I ask, okay, you say this person is the Pan African. Where's the Pan African handbook? Is that, like I said, I'm a member of Kappa Alpha Psi. I'm a proud Kappa. We're a centralized organization. We have a handbook. We have a code of conduct that's easily accessible. We have rules. For you to be a Kappa, there's certain rules that you have to follow. There's a certain initiation process. So it's clear as day, no confusion. Who's a Kappa? How do you become a Kappa or not? I'm just trying to figure out, for those who are gatekeeping Pan-Africanism, where's this at? Where's the headquarters? Who's the leader? No, I'm Kappa Alpha Psi. That's my question. That's it. That's all. And me, because and I get a lot of flack for this. Whether you're white, Asian, Hispanic, whatever you are, the reality is we also have to coexist. It's the reality. So I want to see everybody doing good. I want to see everybody win. So not only am I a Pan-African, I'm a pan, we'll call it pan-humanism. I don't know the correct term. Jonathan, post a link to the letter. Post a link to the letter. I want everybody to win. If you're a good person, if you're a righteous person, I don't care what your background is, I want you to win. Black, white, yellow, green, purple, whatever. I want you to win. So to me, that's Pan-Africanism. Let's just not overcomplicate it. All right. Does that make sense? But Jonathan, do me a favor. Post a link to David Walker's letter. We could take a look at that. All right. So the next topic is what value means to you. All right. What you might find value in doesn't necessarily mean I find value in it. What I find value in or what somebody else finds value in does not necessarily mean that you find value in it. But if someone has a service, product or service, and another individual finds value in that product or service, no matter the price, there's no need to hate. Oh, however much they charge. That's none of your business. I mean, it is your business, but it's not your business, especially if you don't plan, especially if you don't find value in it. And again, if someone has a product and service and another individual finds value in that product and service for a certain price, and that they want to spend that price or pay that price, I'm sorry, why are you mad? Like, why are you mad? Again, let me repeat. If someone has a product or service, and if a buyer finds value in that product and service and is willing to pay the price that the person is selling or offering the product or service, why are you mad? Shout out to that person that they could get what they want for their product and service, and that people find, consumers or whatever you want to title these individuals, find value in their product and service. It's what it is. It's life. I think that's pretty fair. Now, of course, if the individual that's offering the product or service doesn't deliver or has ulterior motives, yeah, I mean, for the most part, doesn't deliver, has ulterior motives, has no intent on meeting their end of the agreement with the product or service, then yeah, of course, people can say something. But if they're fulfilling their end of the bargain, and if that other person is happy with what they receive, why are you mad? I'm surprised we have to have this conversation in 2023. I'm surprised that we have to have this conversation in 2023. Now, of course, there might be some small hiccups as long as they're not malicious. Like, here we go. Ayana, I'll give you a prime example. Ayana had bought my documentary. Ayana hit me up saying, Dynas, the documentary is lagging. I said, I'm sorry. Let me fix it. Let me re-upload it. I re-uploaded the documentary to the server. Everything is all good. So within reason, if we come to agreement, and if certain things can be tweaked within reason, by all means, let's tweak it. Let's make it better. Let's make the experience better for people. But again, within reason. right? He fixed it for me literally in a day. Because again, when I launched the documentary, the file that we uploaded was just too big. So people were like, Dynas, we're having lagging issues. Guess what? I fixed it. And it's like Dynas, it plays smooth. Like a guy told me, Dynas, it plays as smooth or smoother than a Blu-ray DVD. So on one end, we have to deliver the product or service. And at the other end, the customer has to be reasonable. And I'm not saying accept subpar service. I would never say that. But for the most part, both parties are usually happy, should be happy, and usually are. And in that case, if both parties are happy, why are you upset that the buyer had no problem paying the price that they wanted to pay because they found value in it? I'll give you an example. I did sales for a company called Centos. So at Centos, let me make this bigger. Here we go. So I did company for a sales called I did sales for a company called Centos. So at Centos, we used to sell, toilet paper, paper towels, mats, restroom products. And so the idea was the service behind the products. So I would go to a customer, we'll say a restaurant. I would go into a restaurant. The restaurant owner, I come to him, hey, Mr. Customer, I'm Danny Samir with Centos. This is what we do. This is what we offer. Here are our products and services. We had a laundry service, so we had a towel service. We'll wash your towels, we'll wash your aprons. And yes, people, our products cost a little bit more. If they cost more than Costco or Sam's Club, but yes, could the restaurant owner say, and they said this, that and in the past, of course, they found it better or it made more sense to them to just say, you know what, Dynas, no, thank you. I'll just go to Sam's Club and Costco and get it from there because it's cheaper. With our service, we will come every week. We'll drop it off. We'll pick up your dirty towels, your dirty aprons. We'll go, we'll wash them. We'll bring you we'll bring you fresh, clean towels, fresh, clean aprons. We'll go into your restroom, just stock all your restroom products. Go into your kitchen, all your, the chemicals for your 3-compartment sink. We maintain that. Your dirty mops, your dirty mats. We'll take them, wash them, bring you fresh mats, fresh mops. And the concept was, Mr. Customer, so you have this restaurant, you have to deal with health code, you have to deal with the health department, you have to deal with, food delivery, you got to deal with payroll, you have to interview, hire, and fire employees, you have to deal with customers, you got to deal with building code. You got to make sure your facility is clean. Let us manage this part of the business for you so you don't have to worry about it. Some customers be like, Dynas, towels and aprons, I'm going to take them home and wash them myself because, the cost of the detergent, the cost of the towels and the aprons is much lesser than what you guys are offering because what you guys are offering is it costs more money. It's exponentially more. A week later, after opening up a restaurant and dealing with customers, making sure the employees are right and trained, they have to deal with turnover. So they got to interview and hire new employees. They will call me back in and say, Dynas, you know what? I don't have time. When I get off of work, okay, I come in at 8 o'clock. I don't leave the 8 p.m. I don't have time and I don't want to deal with washing dirty towels and aprons. Dynas, bring your company in, take care of all of it. I don't want to deal with it. So we came in once a week and we dealt with it. Some people found value in that. Some people didn't. It's their prerogative, how they want to run their business, how they want to spend their money. But with Cintas, there were enough people, enough customers who found value in that to the point where Cintas is a Fortune 500 company. Again, Cintas is a Fortune 500 company. And of course, there are people saying, oh man, why do you pay $100 a week for some people to drop off toilet paper and check your air fresheners and bring you clean mops and pick up your dirty towels and aprons and wash them for you when you can just do that yourself for $20. But again, some people found value in having another company do it so they could focus on other areas in their business versus washing dirty towels, which brings me to Africa. I am very aware, everybody is, that it's probably cheaper to go to Africa on your own than with a tour brand or tour company. We are very aware. Trust me, we are very aware. But again, it really depends on the experience you want to have and what you find value in. I had a guy who came with me to Nigeria. Yes, it was almost $5,000. This was this past August. You know what he told me? He said, Dynast, I would not have had the experience that I had with you if I didn't go, if I would have went on my own. Again, he said, Dynast, I would not have had the experience that I had by choosing to go with you if I would have went on my own. It was worth every penny. So people find value in traveling with Danfo for the experience, depending on what experience you want. Now, if you just want to go to Aquagana or Lagos and do Duddy December, where you go, you stay in Lagos, you go to Victoria Island, you just club hop and party and drink, and yeah, I mean, you like, I don't do that. Like I don't. That's not my wheelhouse. I don't do that. I mean, if you want to pay me to organize that, I probably could. But I think when people say when people say that, okay, these tour operators or tour brands are overcharging people to go to Africa, like if I were you, when somebody says, "Oh man, that Dynast guy, that trip is $5,000, man. I could go to Africa for $2,000 and stay a home and stay 2-3 weeks, man, for $2,000." Like, ask them, like, have them explain what exactly are you gonna do in Africa or in a specific country in 2 weeks for $2,000? Like, what are you gonna do? Like, what's the plan? And then go from there. Like, what exactly do you have lined up? Like, for example, in Nigeria, okay, you're not going to show up to Nigeria and meet a real Oba or king. It's not going to happen. Again, you're not just going to show up. If that's what you're into, you're not going to just show up to Nigeria and meet a real Oba, which is a king, a Kabiyesi. It's not going to happen if you don't know the right people. Guess what? You come with me, you meet my Oba. Right here, I make a phone call. Kabiyesi, we're coming this day. Really? Okay. They haven't set up. But again, it depends on what you're into. Like me, I'm more into authentic, traditional, cultural experiences. And guys, it's you just don't come and pull up. It doesn't work like that. You know, the midday and 10-day reunions, it just don't work with a come and pull up. I'm just gonna pull up to. I'm gonna go to this country. I'm just gonna pull up, and yeah, it's gonna. Nah, it don't. It don't work like that. Trust me. So again, people are paying for certain experiences. But yes, I completely agree. Just like with the example I gave with my former company with Cintas, you can go and buy your toilet paper, your paper towels, your air fresheners, your mats, your mops. Absolutely, you can go buy that on your own for cheaper. But if you want a service where somebody brings it to you, maintains it for you, yeah, you're gonna pay for that service. Same thing with Africa. Man, you could get on a plane right now and fly to Nigeria. Well, number one, if you want to go to Nigeria, first of all, you got to get an invitation letter. All right, their visa process is a little more archaic. All right. Now I have a place where I could get visa on arrival for people, but you can go fly to Kenya or wherever and just go. But again, it depends on what type of experience you want. And if you have time to really research the type of, what kind of experience you want. Because when I first went to Africa, I was spending hours online. Again, I was spending hours online trying to figure out what the hell I'm gonna do, where I'm gonna go, how I'm gonna book this hotel, book that hotel. Um, I messed up my flights, all types of stuff. But since I established since I've established a lot of these relationships, it's like clockwork now. It's easy. But trust me, I put in a lot of work building these relationships. A lot. A lot of trial and error. O'Shea Du Jackson, can you have Pan-Africanism without investment? Like I said in the past, here we go. I can vouch for Dynast's help with visa. I made my own to-do list in Niger, but his help was invaluable. Yeah, brother needed help with getting visa on arrival. I helped him out. Can you have Pan-Africanism without investment? Like I said, Pan-Africanism without a checkbook is Pan-Africanism in vain in 2023, in my honest opinion. Shout out to O'Shea Du Jackson for the super chat. I hope that makes sense. Guys, am I making sense? Am I making sense, you guys? Does that make sense? Was that easy to swallow? Okay. So again, you're paying for a service. That's what you're paying for. I got the guides, transportation, all that's taken care of. Nah, some people I gotta explain it to, but it's important to have these conversations. I really think it's important to have these type of conversations. It's very important because trust me, that the amount of trial and error I went through when I first started traveling to Africa, like I pretty much figured out the system. And sometimes when you tell people this is the price, just like when I was at Centos, some people you got to explain. Jonathan Miller, some people you got to explain to. But like I said, when I was at Centos, when I would come in and I would give quotes to customers, like your toilet paper, this amount, um, the town service is this amount, mass is this amount. They say, oh, whoa, it's too expensive. I could just go to Costco, or I could go to Smart and Final, or I could go to Sam's Club and get everything that you're telling me, Dynas, for half the price. And then I have to explain the actual service behind it. Like, you don't have to go anywhere. We're going to come to you and we're going to stock and maintain everything for you. So it's the same thing with the travel brand. from your flight, hotel. Like I take care of all that. Just show up to the airport for the most for the most. Not I make it as easy as possible, stressful as less stressful as possible. Where it's like, okay, I'm on the phone. This is what I need. This is what you need to do. Be at the airport. Well, all you gotta do is show up. You got your ticket. We handle the visa process. I'll walk you through everything: transportation, hotel, food. It's a process. It's a process. But again, you're paying for a service. And yes, you go to Africa for cheaper without me. But again, some people find value in the service. I just hope that makes sense. And then with the service, it makes it a whole lot, especially for people who've never been to Africa before. It makes it a whole lot less stressful because some people don't know where to get started. And then the authentic experiences that we offer, I don't know if anybody else can offer that as far as what we do. But okay, let's jump to the next topic. Discerning jealousy versus sincerity. Everyone has a right to their opinion as long as it's constructive, even if it's not constructive feedback. You still have a right. But I do a very good job of knowing if somebody's being sincere or if someone is being jealous. If someone has a jealous spirit, if someone wants to see you fail. I've said this before. The majority of these YouTube disagreements can be squashed in 10 minutes offline with a simple phone call. But people who are jealous, who want to see you lose, who don't want to see you win, who want to see you fail, they like to instigate and pour gasoline on the fire and come on social media and talk bad about you, make personal attacks. Like I said in the video I did last week, I know the difference between a personal attack and feedback. You have the right. If you came on a tour with me, if you bought a documentary, if you bought clothes for me, my children's books, you have the right to leave feedback. But there's a difference between feedback and personal attacks. And I know everybody knows the difference. And a lot of the personal attacks are seated in jealousy, seated in envy. People have ulterior motives. They have underlying issues with you. They're just being petty. Like I know the difference. And I think the bad thing plus the good thing with social media, when these people are emotional, right? And they have a personal issue against you, the truth would eventually come out. What's the real problem? Just let them talk. Again, just let them talk. And the more they talk, the more they get on and, complain and talk bad at you, they'll slip up and say the real issue. And it's like, damn, that's your problem right there. Oh, hell, we could have settled this 10, 15-minute phone call. So you did all this. Like you put all of this out there. over something that could have been handled, a 10-minute phone call. That's what people do. And at the end of the day, they just make themselves look bad. At the end of the day, they just end up making themselves look bad. Shout out to Mr. Ife Lua. I've done business with Dynasty and brother, you're legit. I used to purchase the kaftans. I got a bunch of kaftans that I want to sell. They're upstairs. And I've been there. Like I've had a jealous spirit before. And the underlying issue why I was jealous or why sometimes I would lash out. I know one time was I wasn't happy at my job. Like I wasn't happy at my job. So that caused me to lash out and kind of hate on people. But I never escalated to a level where there was no return. Like I might say something, then I'll stop, then I'll go apologize immediately. Say, hey, that's not me. That's something that was in me that was causing me to do that. That's not me. I'm sorry. That was wrong. But some people, they just want to escalate it and keep it going. And it ends up making that individual look very bad. And again, a lot of times there's an underlying issue that could have been solved in 15 minutes. Or something that happened to them, they want to take it out on somebody else. That's usually what it is. But guys, I'm going to put the link in the chat room. If you're going to call in and add to the conversation, please click on the link. If you want to call in and add to the conversation, please click on the link. So there are people who are sincere that say, hey, Dynasty, listen, brother, you're doing good, but hey, try to tweak this, try to tweak that. Maybe fix this. Yeah, Dynasty, the way you do that right there, maybe change it to this. But overall, Dynasty, you're doing a great job. But just you need some fine tuning, constructive feedback. Absolutely. Then you got some people that just, I don't know, want to be nasty. It's like, what's going on? And then you just allow them to talk. Like, allow them to talk and just listen. Then you be like, oh, really? Oh, come on. This could have been settled in 10 minutes. So you want to ruin a relationship, a friendship over this? But hey, to each his own. People do what they find value in, and hey, it is what it is. It is what it is. But listen, links in the chat room. Link is in the chat room. If you want to click on a link, again, please click on the link. If you want to click on the link, please click on the link. And you're more than welcome to call in. But yeah, I've had a jealous seed in me before. I get it. But I recognized it early on and I stopped it. Shout out to AJ Niger, man. This brother, listen, AJ, you've been on what, 4 trips? Or 3? Was Sierra Leone twice, Zanzibar once, right? Three. Yeah, shout out to AJ Niger. Brother's been on 3 trips. Just got back from Zanzibar with us, been to Sierra Leone with me twice. Shout out to him. But like I said, I've been there. Like I've had a jealousy planted in me, but it takes being humble and knowing who you are to put out that fire, right? It takes heavy self-reflection, counsel, conversations, to put it out before you do something that you can't walk back. You can't take back. And that's just the reality. Because sometimes you can fan those flames so much where there's no point of return. And then bridges are burned. And the key is not allowing it to get to that point. So with me, when I've had my moments where I wanted to be a hater, I immediately walk it back and go sit my ass down. Like my grandma used to say, go sit your ass down somewhere. Like if there's a jealous seed or some haterism, and guys, that's natural, man. We have emotions. At times we could be competitive. So it's natural, but it's just the problem is when people act out on it. To a point where they make a mistake where it can't be undone. And I control that. Like if a jealousy comes into me, I just ask the Most High to remove that seed from my heart. If I say something about somebody that is from a jealous standpoint, I remove it and I go apologize to that person. But one thing I will not do, right, is go on personal attacks publicly against people. And we can have disagreements. We could debate the facts. But personal ad hominem attacks is just, yeah, not cool. People make mistakes. But when people have ulterior motives, is it really a mistake? But guys, links in the chat room, if you want to call in. Hopefully everything I said makes sense. If you have any questions about anything, listen, what am I doing? Okay. If you have any, I didn't have the, hold on. The band, here we go. Okay, there we go. Okay, if you have any questions about anything, guys, link is in the chat room. We'll turn this into an AMA, Ask Me Anything. Link is in the chat room. You're more than welcome to call in. You're more than welcome to ask a question, and I will do my best to answer back. Links in the chat room. And guys, one thing I want to say, especially when it comes to the travel brand and tourism, this is the reality when it comes to Africa. All right. Currently, right now, in East Africa, the travel industry is dominated by whites and Indians. Again, the travel industry is dominated by whites and Indians in East Africa. South Africa is dominated by whites. South Africa is dominated by whites. In West Africa is wide open. It's wide open. So, we can't afford to hate on each other. Again, if we're talking about, it's open season. West Africa travel tourism is open season. It is wide open, untouched for the most part. But people are moving in, they're swooping in. And one thing we can't do, we got to stop hating on each other. Because again, if we want to take this Pan-Africanism, if you want people to start taking us serious, because they're not. I mean, for the most part, they're not. I'm just going to be honest. They hear the rhetoric and all that stuff, but for the most part, it's like, okay, what are you doing? All right, what are you Pan-Africans doing? You Pan-Africans, what are you guys doing on the continent? Are you out competing the Chinese? No. Are you out competing the Lebanese? No. Are you out competing the Europeans? No. Are you out competing the locals? No. Are you out competing the Russians? No. So what are you guys doing? What industries do you have? Like, what do you have? How have you contributed to infrastructure? And I'm not saying people aren't doing that, but just we're not competing on an international level, meaning we're not in position to be hating on people. We're not. And like I said, African governments, they see this stuff. They see all of this. And it's, what are these Pan-Africans bringing to Africa of value? Instead of bickering and arguing. Like if we were to remove the Pan-Africans from Africa, what would we be missing? If we were to remove the Pan-Africans from Africa, what would we be missing as an African continent? And that's the question we have to answer as a collective. So all this back and forth, all this, it's pointless. It really is. Now, if you could prove that someone is just scamming, because that's the word everybody likes to use. If you could just really, really, really prove that someone's scamming, then by all means, if you want to call them out, go ahead. For the most part, like I said, 90% of this beef online can be settled with a 15-minute conversation. But we just love the drama. Guys, links in the chat room. Link is in the chat room. If you want to call in after the conversation, you're more than welcome to call in and add to the conversation. If you want to call into the conversation, you're more than welcome to call in and add to the conversation. Yeah, if you want to call in, you're more than welcome to call in and add to the conversation. There we go. And hit the like button. Again, please hit that like button. All right, we'll wait a couple more. Here we go. Roll image, go ahead.
Yeah, with the travel stuff, I think a lot of people didn't think it was going to succeed.
All right, we'll wait a couple more. Here we go. Turn off the playback.
Yeah. A lot of people didn't think you guys would be able to do it. And most people have no idea that was even something that can be done. So usually when people see something new being done like that, it's like, I could have done that. That's when all that foolish hate and all that negativity comes in, right? So a lot of people had no idea that it was something that could be done, because usually people are used to these big entities that people deal with going to Cancun and all these places. That's what they're used to. They never thought something like that could be done on the continent. And it's like, oh, that guy is doing it? Like, who is he? He's nobody. He's just like me. So we don't appreciate somebody like us on our level doing something that great. So a lot of the times, because we don't know how to deal with that, it's easier to hate, or it's easier to say something negative to bring it down or to destroy it. Because you're thinking, I could have done that too. Right? Instead of praising the person and saying, no, I could have done that, but he's doing it, or I could also do it too, they would rather destroy it and then try to put themselves in that position, thinking that two can coexist. So a lot of the times it's just foolishness and lack of understanding. So
Cool, man. I appreciate it, bro. What else is going on, Roll Image?
trying to go to Ghana, but shit is expensive. So and I'm not really into the party right now. So they can have the party and I'll probably go maybe March around there.
Oh yeah, man. December traveling to Africa is well, especially West Africa. So December traveling to West Africa is expensive. For some reason, it's not as expensive going to East Africa.
Yeah, but I
But
think
West
every
Africa and
year,
South Africa, man, December expensive.
yeah, every year during this time, the currency always goes down, right? So it's good for us outside because your exchange is a lot. So it's good for us, but then the locals are the ones that get the backhand, So it's difficult for them. I'm not sure if it's something that's purposely done. So you can pay attention this year, pay attention to next year. See, when December comes, the currency always takes a dip. So I'm not sure it's a system thing that they do every year, or I'm not sure. We fuck up every December, or Master's hand is still in there somehow. But every year, every December, that's what happens. Or close to December into the new year, that's what happens.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So yeah, I was in Ghana in August. That's the last time I was there, and I'm headed to Benin next month. Looking forward to that,
Yeah,
guys.
but
Links.
you stay in Ghana, you go to Ghana, you touch land and you dip, you run always running from Ghana.
Nah, man, I don't work from Ghana. I was in Ghana. I was in Ghana in August. I was there in August. I was there for a couple days.
Okay. Everything on your page is Ghanaian. But you rep Nigeria like you have nothing to do with Ghana. You need to touch base over there too.
Okay, yeah. Well, I got to touch base in Nigeria. Go ahead, caller.
Oh yeah, what's going on, guys?
Hey, it's real crackly. Your sound.
Yeah, you got to bear with me, man. I'm an old man. You know.
Tyler, it's bad, man. The transition, the transmit. I don't know if you're on the Bluetooth or what you got going. It's just
Oh, let me put my charger on. Does it sound better?
nah.
Hold on, let me go out and come back in.
Okay. Yeah, man. Oh, my bad. I'm a Niger man.
Yeah, now everybody knows. But at the beginning, you're a Ghana. All your tattoos is icon symbols.
Yeah, I got a couple. I got a couple of kind symbols. You're right.
But it's good though. You're bringing a lot of people to the continent, so it's good as long as that's being done. That's part of the work.
Okay, caller, you there?
Yeah, testing. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's a whole lot better. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to say, yeah, see, we have this thing in Negro land where as soon as somebody starts making a dime, you know what I'm saying, we start hating. Now, if, like I said, if a white man said, something, I'm gonna do tours to Africa and whatnot. You can go spark your heritage and everything. And he's on CBS NBC talking about, yeah, man, I'm bringing Black Americans to Africa. Our company's making a mint. I got my sons, everything in charge. I got a couple of Black people working for me. They're learning the business and everything. And they're charging $15,000 a person and whatnot. No Negro would say a damn thing, you know. That's the way it is. We look. I say, like I told you, told you yesterday. You charge a price. You have an itinerary. People agree to the itinerary, right? You're a grown person. You agree to the itinerary. Everything's not going to be perfect and everything, but you say, okay, hey, you give it your review. Everybody has a right to their opinion. You give her your review, Yelp, whatever, like that.
Right.
I like Donfo. Some people are like, I didn't like Donfo. Right? That's like this. But when people take that, if somebody has a disagreement or whatever trifle that went on to try to destroy what Dynast has built, think about it. He's built something from nothing. And that's remarkable right there. When you could take something out of nothing, you and people like Bomani are showing that you can actually make money dealing with the mother continent. Now, what we need is other people stepping their game up and getting into other things like manufacturing, importing, exporting, infrastructure building, whatever it is, show that we're showing that you can actually make money in Africa, or connecting with the motherland. And so, therefore, that is a version of Pan Africanism where you're connecting. Now, some people will say, some detractors will say, You're being a capitalist, you know. Marcus Garvey said capitalism was necessary, you know, for human survival. You know, so in other words, basically, we're supposed to fight this endless. We're gonna rise up and take over the world from the white. Well, I don't know. They've been suffering an L for 100 years. Capitalism and money making is not going anyplace. We need our own banks. We need our own industries. We need our own capital and stuff like that. Why don't we start learning how to do what they do? You know, and so we can have some else. Instead of thinking you're gonna have some socialist utopia where everyone's broke, everybody's dusty, and we're all sitting around talking about, well, at least he ain't making more money than I am. And that's what it is. That's not Pan-Africanism. Pan don't mean pan-dustyism, you know? And so that's what I want to say about that, you know?
Yeah, the one part that I wanted to add on to is the education side. Like Ghana just signed a deal for its lithium for like 10%, right? And the reason why they take so little, they know it's for battery, but they don't know how to turn it into battery, right? The same thing with the cocoa. Ghana and Ivory Coast, the whole world 60%.
And gold.
Yeah, but all these minerals that we have, we don't know. We don't have the know-how, the technical know-how.
But Burkina Faso, Ibrahim Traore said, we're going to learn. We're going to process this gold, everything like that. No gold is leaving here unless it's processed and added value and everything. And we have our companies involved in it. No longer sitting behind like spectators and everything. This is the trick that what they do to Africa, right? Like they'll say just recently, my brothers and sisters in Zambia, they're Black Power people. I love them down there and everything like that. But let's not get too happy when the report came out that Zambia is the #1 producer of precious gems and everything, because Zambia is not producing them. You know, Chinese companies, everybody else is producing them. Chile's actually have their own companies that's producing them and adding value to them. What they do is they tell Africans like Nigeria, oh, Nigeria's the #1 oil producer. Nigeria's not producing the oil. Somebody is literally taking a hose and a pipe and sucking the oil out of the ground and telling Nigeria, this is what you get. You know, we don't produce it. Black race does not produce anything. You know, produces when you take the stuff out of the ground and you logistically transform it to add value to it, and then you sell it over the market like Qatar did and all these other people did with their natural gas and everything, and like Venezuela did. The black race has to be more complicated. There's enough educated people between Nigeria, Ghana, and these countries right there to form long-lasting corporations and engineering firms that can pull the stuff out of the ground, market it, and stuff like that. If we say we're educated, we say we're coming up, we're not. That's what should be happening in 2023, and that's how you left the millions of people out of poverty and build an African middle class. You know.
I agree, but the people on the continent needs to have those institutions, educational institution where the people on the land are being educated to do these things. Like the Burkina Faso Ibrahim guy, he's working with Russians, so it's the Russian people that's building all these infrastructure. At the end of the day, it's their building. You see what I'm saying? So we need to empower ourselves where when we dig our minerals, we can build the infrastructure, we can process it, and we can sell it without anybody being involved. The power is in the knowledge. We're always getting somebody to come build something for us. When we can get that, if it's you that know how to build a road, we get you, put you in our school, you teach our children.
Right.
You see what I'm
And
saying?
also, one thing we have to have, Royal, is we have to have domestic industrial consumption. We cannot rely on the West for, we got lithium, right? Then we should be basically building the batteries, or if that's going to be the future, because I'm not convinced on this. You know, I'm seeing now that either solar panels, lithium batteries might be a thing. I think we jumped the gun too soon, because these batteries are not, when you got to, I worked at a plant one time with batteries, disposing batteries, not a pretty sight, you know? And so not a pretty sight when you batteries. It's hard to get rid of them, you know, and stuff like that.
See,
They're
with the
environmental
lithium thing,
catastrophe.
they already built the industries, they already built their civilization off the coal, the gas, and all of that. They don't want us to catch up, so they're changing the technology.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they're forcing Africans to not use these things, because Africa's not even there yet. and you're changing it to this new technology that we haven't. The old one we haven't even adapted to. We can't
Yeah,
even
we
burn
haven't
it.
even adapted to the oil. We haven't adapted to having cheap gas
Exactly, and
on
they're
the continent,
moving us
and now
into
you
a
want to
next
go to
level.
lithium because
So the only
they want to handicap Africa
that's
development.
it.
And so we jump into this climate thing and everything like that. We're like fools. We out there. Africa ain't producing no carbon, nothing, and you out there signing some climate deal talking about I'm trying to save the planet. Negro, save yourself. You know, well, you
They're only
save the
trying to get
planet.
us to depend on them. That's all they're doing. So because every time we're making a move to catch up, they change the system.
Yeah, they move the goalposts.
That's all they're doing. There's nothing else. But the leaders on the continent don't know what's going on. Even if they do, they're working for their masters too. So
Oh yeah, somebody named Blazing Hot. Young sister, I guess. She's wants to argue with the college genesis. She says Venezuela has collapsed. You know why it collapsed? Because of the United States sanctions. That's why it collapsed. You know, and Nigeria built a refinery. Yeah, we built the refinery. Nigeria didn't build a refinery. It was outsourced by 99% of the supply chain. Everything to build that refinery was coming by the South Koreans, the Turks, everybody else. Another thing, we build stuff. We don't even have a supply chain, to even think. Can we even supply pipes? I think a Ghanaian firm could have stored some pipes on his ports in Tema and then shipped it over there. Did we get anything out of the deal? All the biggest from that refinery, and it's still not online. And we wish Nigeria the best of the thing, but let's not compare. Venezuela had Citgo, they had retail
they
all
destroyed
throughout the
that whole
United States.
country. They destroyed that place. They messed it up.
Yeah, the West put sanctions on Venezuela and everything like that because they didn't like what they were talking about. They tried to, it is what it is.
Ghana was under sanction for like 30 years. Ghana just started developing again in 2001 because the previous president came in power with the coup. So he
Hmm.
stayed on for like almost 30 years. And again, he wasn't working with them because he did his own thing. And if you're doing your own thing, then we're not going to let you do anything with nobody. So Ghana, where it is right now, that's just what, 2001 to now?
Hmm.
That's it.
Yeah, yeah.
So Ghana is nowhere.
And,
That's
and,
why.
and Ghana recently was told by the IMF that it's not allowed to ban imports.
Yeah,
You don't have to. So you like Ghana lost its sovereignty as far
long
as
time.
like a
2001.
sovereign nation should be able to say, I don't want this in. I can tax this. That's the beauty about sovereignty. Your own commerce and everything. The IMF says no. You owe us money. So they got Western companies dumping rice and everything in the Ghanaian economy,
Yeah.
and wonder why Ghana can't develop.
2001, the president that came in, John Kufuor, he was a Mason, a high-ranking Mason.
He's a
You know what I'm
clown.
saying? So again, they put their people in power, and then they do whatever they need to do.
Hmm.
The president right now, Kufuor, I'm not sure if he's a Mason, but his family, it's in politics from a long time, right? So they're all
I
connected to
just think a
them.
lot of people are just short sighted, and we have to get out of this idea as Black people, right? We got to get out of this idea of being impressed with mediocrity. If we say that we built civilizations and also like that, let's not settle for mediocrity. There's no reason why the Black race should not be where Asia is, and all these other people that are rising up and taking over their regions, and competing with the West and everything. Then you get the respect. It's almost like we feel that if we don't challenge the white man, he's gonna like us more. No, it don't work like that.
But you
People
can't
will
compete
respect
when
you.
you're following.
Yeah.
So the African is inspired by the European. The African wants to be like the European, right? So all the development that's going on is not inspired by African ideas. It's inspired by Western ideas. All the achievements we're trying to achieve, they're all Western achievements we're trying to achieve,
Yeah.
right? So until we as a people have our own ideas, have our own path we want to carve for ourselves, we're always going to be following. If you're following, you're trying to catch up. The
Hmm.
same thing with this lithium new technology that's coming. It's battery. That's their path they carved, and we're just following. You see, so
Yeah. I want this blazing hot lady to call in. Says Dangote's refinery has already started. No, Nigeria's still importing oil and gas. Come on. And when it does get started, it's gonna be a while till they meet local demands. It's gonna take a lot. It's gonna take a miracle
yeah,
uh, to like this. So we all We gotta just say what it is. It is what it is. What I would love to see is the Dangote is all West Africans or black people own stock in Dangote refinery, so we have a stake in it. If we have a stake in it, that means that Liberia, Ivory Coast, and all these countries will purchase that thing. Problem solved. We can do that thing. Same thing with steel. Why don't we have one steel company, corporation that everybody else has stake into, investment in? Why do we have a unified shipping commission? Cede sovereignty to a shipping commission for the West African Port Authority. And regulate shipping, and through one office, one protocol that will save billions and billions of dollars and synchronize and coordinate Africa shipping. I've studied this stuff for years, and I talked to heads of not heads of state, but just NGOs of Africans and stuff like that over the years. Everything they say, oh, Colin, these are all good ideas, but they peter on the vine because that takes too much time, and anything that deals with hard work or difficulty or sacrifice. The black race, in this late day time, we need like 20 years of sacrifice. 20
That
years of
sacrifice is supposed to be educating
yeah,
those
and
people
also
that's going to take over.
going without. We got to put down the bottles. We got to put down the partying. We got to put down the liquor. We got to put down the chasing. We got to discipline ourselves as a race for 20 years. 20 years, and I guarantee you'll see salvation.
Yeah, I think the leaders now want to do everything themselves, and they forget that. Like, I always tell people that the future is the children.
Yeah,
it's not us. We are not going to
yes,
do anything. We're not going to change anything. So the investment is in the future, the children. So that's why I'm always stressing on the education. If we empower them and we give them those infrastructures to educate them how to work with lithium and all of that, they will make better deals when they're sitting in front of these white people. These
yeah,
old people, when they meet the white man, his whole life when he's growing up, the image of Christ, God, and the Savior, and all these things are the person he's sitting in front of. So he can never win any bargain. He can't
yeah.
win.
We're intimidated by him because we're sitting
Exactly.
by the white
So
man. He's Superman. He's Jesus Christ.
he's all of that.
He's all that. Every superhero that came to rescue you and whatnot. And save the day and whatnot. He's Douglas MacArthur. I shall return and whatnot. He's all your favorite heroes and everything like that. He's the white man. And how can you go against the white man?
And then when you're sitting there talking about lithium or gold or bauxite or whatever, you don't know what it's for. But if the person that's sitting in front doing the negotiation understands that this is what lithium is for, I can build batteries, I can make batteries,
Mm-hmm.
they won't lose the negotiation because they know what they're trying to gain to benefit themselves and their people.
Mm-hmm.
You see, but when it's a person that has no idea what lithium is, he don't care because he's gonna get 10 million in his pocket, feed his wife and his children.
But
The rest, he don't care.
How bad is that Ghanaian lithium deal? I heard it was really bad.
It's terrible. Just like everything, that the oil we found, we have right now we're digging
That
crude
oil
oil.
refinery was terrible, but I was had
10%.
Zondo what's the name? Zongo on the other night talking about, well, Kyle, you understand something? That was offshore drilling, and we had to take that. I said, nah, dude, man, it didn't sound right. He said it's offshore. You understand something? That the drilling platform and the drillers and the people who explore are all different companies. Why didn't Guyana coordinate all that? They'll say we're going to do this like this, and this is what it is. You get 10%. Instead of
Because the
God,
people that's negotiating, they have no idea. All they know is they're going to get $10 million
yeah,
in their pocket. The oil, they have no idea about these things. They're just in position to make these deals go smooth for the whoever is coming to take the stuff. Because they have no idea what those minerals are for. They don't know, they don't care, because they know at the end of the day, when I put my signature on it, I'm going to get 10 million in my pocket. You see what I'm saying?
yeah, and they go
That's
out
it.
to the club,
That's it.
and buy imported expensive cars.
Because if you know what lithium is really for and the future of lithium, why would you take 10%?
Yeah.
You see what I'm
And
saying?
also, why aren't you manufacturing? Saying, let's get a roadmap to like Ibrahim Torres is doing. Anything you mine here, there's a roadmap to manufacturing. He must have been listening to College Genesis somewhere. You know, there's a roadmap. I want a 5-year plan for you to bring manufacturing and skills and everything. Burkina Faso is going to be a jewel in West Africa. You watch.
I
If they
hope
don't
so.
take him out, they're trying every day. There's a new assassination attempt, you know. And I ask these bros over there, you know, they're so short-sighted. If you see the man has a master plan for your country, get behind him.
They
Why
don't
you
see
wanna
it.
take him out? Why you want to be you in charge and everything? Like, you know, you ain't got any ideas. You know, you just
They
want
don't
to
see
be the
it.
man.
But even now, the system, the infrastructure that's being built, we have to keep in mind that's Russia that's in charge of all those things. You know, as much as we're praising them and all that, we have to understand he's removing one master and putting another master in position.
But here's where I disagree. One major reason: Russia has never ever colonized Africa, and
That don't
also
mean nothing.
Russia never had any desire. And also, Russia was always a critic of the West's colonization of Africa and the Middle East and stuff like this. And so, therefore, what you have to do is, when I looked at him and him standing next to Putin, right?
Yeah.
And Putin's a man's man, you know. And you could, when you see Trohori and Putin's talking, look at eye to eye, eyeball to eyeball, you see the testosterone in that room. You know, that's a man. That Trohori is a freaking man. That's a descendant of the Trohori clan. You know, of the Mali Empire. You know, the Trohori clan was one of the largest clans in West Africa. You know, largest clan family of Dayula and Nyamakala, tradesmen and craftsmen in West Africa. They go back centuries. So this guy right here, I have every confidence, right, that he can deal with Putin on a case by case, because he even
But
suspended
we
Russia's
can't
president.
see Putin like he's some savior, you know, because at the end of the
No,
day,
I'm not saying
he's
no.
looking
You got
for resources
you see,
because he's at war.
but here's the thing: you got to understand something, right? You got to basically everything needs allies, right? You need allies, you need partners. There's no question about that. You know, if Putin basically is at war with the West right now, take advantage. You will have no permanent friends, no permanent enemies, just permanent interests. Because Chahori is going out for his own interest, you know, interest in this thing, and Burkina Faso's interest, and Putin understands that. So I don't believe now past leaders like I do in Ghana and this Tinubu, you could say that, right? But this guy looks like a real African warrior. You know, I look at him and I look at the way he looks, his stance and everything, the way he talks, the way he pronounces himself, what his vision is, his ideas is. This is the right man for the job. And I have every confidence that he can deal with Russia, he can deal with anybody else, any heads of state,
But you know he's
and win
supposed
for
to step
people.
down, right?
Let me read this super chat. Not easy. The continent has it. It will never manufacture, refine, or be a global player or master of the resources.
It's a fact because that's not what the world wants. It will shut the whole world global
We don't
economy
care what
down.
the world thinks.
No, it's whoever controls Africa controls the world. So if you're producing your own things and manufacturing, you're selling to them, they can't afford it.
Well, we'll stop selling to them then. No, we don't have,
How?
look, African countries don't produce any of this stuff anyway, right? The
Mm-hmm.
copper mines in Zambia don't produce, Africa don't produce that. They basically, Western copper mines basically flood the global copper market. They play gambling on the international trade exchange and everything like that, fluctuating prices on options of trading of Zambian copper and everything. And they're saying, how is people outside of Zambia making all the money off of Zambia because they bet on futures and everything, and they basically tell Zambia, don't produce this month, produce this month, so they control the price fluctuation, and also that's all it is. Africa's not benefiting from this because we have not basically built the domestic need for copper industry. That's what's going to change things.
So guys, links in the chat room. Link is in the chat room. If you want to call in and add to the conversation, please click on the link. Again, link is in the chat room. You're more than welcome to add to the convo. And hit the like button. Again, please hit that like button as you come to the chat. If you haven't already, please. Really appreciate it.
Just a breaking news, brother Dinus. Jonathan Majors was found guilty.
I mean, okay, so now I haven't really been following the case. Found guilty for what? Of what? Hitting his
Well, then
ex.
he got into a fight with that white chick, his ex girlfriend, right? Then he got with Megan Good. On the camera, it's like she assaulted him, right?
Mhm.
And whatever it is, they don't like this brother, and it just came across my feed. He was found guilty on some of the charges.
Yeah,
The
so
guy from
I wonder how
Ant-Man.
that's gonna. I wonder how that's gonna end up for him as far as what can he be sentenced to?
Well, it's not even that. It's his career in Hollywood. I mean, when he came off that Creed 3, I was like, man, this is a guy. This is an actor of the future, man. And then like 2 days later, that happened.
Right.
You know, I'm like, wow, man, we finally got Michael B. Jordan, him, good characters, that we can relate to, and this happens,
Mm. Go ahead, Ola. Ola, you got to
Yeah,
unmute
yeah,
yourself.
yeah, yeah. I think there's no country holding Africa not to manufacture anything. The problem with Africa is that Africa don't learn like the way the Chinese people learn. You know, they prefer to build other things, mansions and everything overseas, buy houses overseas. The way to learn all these things is just the way the Chinese learn how to manufacture other things. The Chinese was not able to even manufacture nothing, but we know they have the experience. But at least they learn from the West. It takes almost 30 years for them to grab everything. The problem with Africa is that neither we're too spiritual, or the leaders who's supposed to direct in all these things are just busy, want to live close to the queen, the neighborhood of the rich and the famous, and that we still have up to today in Africa. Just the black world. We prefer to ride the latest Mercedes Benz and the latest Toyota Cruiser, and I understand that just all. So these African leaders are not visionaries. Look at Russia today. See the way Russia is fighting. They're fighting to they're fighting in a way that America will not dominate them. If you want to grab power, you need to fight for it. You want to be successful, you need to fight for it. You cannot just be successful, just be spiritual. Talk about God, talk about other things, talk about dead ancestors that nobody will be able to wake up anymore. You know, you have to be now and fight now for whatever you're looking for. At least with the Chinese coming to sell us some of all these things, to have like, oh, they said rechargeable fan. We can do that ourselves. You don't learn, reverse technology. We can learn that is that you can sell to the other markets. In Africa first, you start with that one first. It might be difficult, so no, we don't trust it. But you let them just test it, try it. If it's good, they start buying from you. But not like any country is stopping. Oh, Europe is not even stopping Africa not to produce nothing. They're not. It's just our leaders are busy, want to be like Napoleon. If you go to the English side, they want to buy a house near the Queen of England. They want to in that street called the Billionaire Rose. If someone want to go to United States, they're checking the Malibus and the other ones and everything. Want to come and sell to South Africa. Have a house in Malibu. Do you want to stay there? Boasting to their friends what they have in foreign land. It's just not only Africa, the black world. In America, say a lot of guys buy Gucci. They call it Gucci bag, Louis Vuitton bag, and make fun. But the white people that produce it, they don't follow these things really. As a white person, do you like the Mercedes? Oh, it's good. But there's black man. Do you like the Mercedes? Oh man, that guy's a damn. So we in our heads we crazy. That's why we backward.
We've been conditioned that way.
It's not about the condition. We just look. Have you ever seen some rallies whereby some white women hold some cards and say, "Oh, don't kill the black men, leave them alone. We love their shit." You never see that sort of rally? African man think they are that macho, big chest. That's just all. The China man doesn't think about the other side, by the private part. They think deep. What can they do? Look at China was nothing before. Now America is even scared of China. China is making
Mr.
other.
You said what the African wants. So I want to know, what does the African want?
Africa doesn't know what they want themselves.
then how can we make any progress when we don't know what we want?
That's what I'm saying. Look, if you think Africa changed, look, the African leaders are just like the brain of those slave traders. That's just the truth. Most African leaders' brain is not different from those kings and their hitchmen who were dealing on selling slaves. That's what they, you can't see what they really look. If you buy mansion, let me tell you one thing. If you buy a house in Europe, right? You want to brag. You can't take that money out of Europe. They don't start asking you, oh, this is money laundry. Okay, you buy a house in Europe for about $20 million. They let you take that money out of Europe or America. They will tell you, where you take this money to? How do you bring it in? They know how that money came in, but to take it, oh, this is money laundry. You see, the white man only have a way to still catch you. That's why they're very, very patient. They don't talk. They're very, very patient. They'll be watching you. So African leaders have to learn from the China man before they can forget about these big mansions, whatever they do. Forget about all these big cars they want to drive. Think about what is good for your people. Invest on that aspect. That's just all.
Me, after I watch all these leaders, one thing I've noticed is, for example, if you're born in Ghana, you're being taught English, right? Why are you being taught English? So in the future, when you finish your education, you go to where the Englishman is all over the world, so you can go work for him. So we're taught to be a certain way. We're not taught to stay home and fix home. We're taught to leave home. That's why everybody wants to leave. And the leaders, they receive the education from outside. So when you're learning politics, the politics that we have, which was introduced to us, that is taught to us, is to rule over us. So when the African man goes and he gets his education, he comes back home, he is not African mentally. His mind is that of the European. So he's going to rule like the European. The system that we have inherited from the European was to rob Africa. South Africa is the only one that they came to stay there. That's why they built that place. That's their headquarters on the continent. They're never going to give that place up. That's for their future plan. Now, the rest of the continent, it was just to take out. So all the railroads that they built, it was just to take the minerals out. They were not trying to build anything. That's the same system we have inherited. So the presidents and ministers and all of them, they're just caretakers. Where the gold, the bauxite, the minerals, the timber, all these minerals, where it was going, it's going to the same place. Nothing's changed. That's why I keep stressing on the education. Our education allows these things to happen. It doesn't. The ministers, the judges, all of them, they're there to make sure these rules that was put in place to continue.
Boom. Let
me pass it to Knock Measy. Go ahead, Knock Measy.
Hello, people. I haven't been here in a long time, so I want to bid you all peace.
Peace.
Yes. So look,
far, peace so far.
Peace so far. Calogenesis, please. I don't want to cook you again, please.
Oh no, you got cooked the other day, but we'll go about that,
All right, brother. Thank you. Right. So now look, Royal Image, Ola, and essentially Calogenesis, you guys have all agreed that the continent, ain't really got it going on right now as far as refining and doing all of that. And it's never going to have it. Royal Image said what they taught us how to rob Africa, something to that effect, right? Ola said we need to learn, or they need to learn from the Chinese people. Well, learning and being taught says that Africa has been in a beta position since its contact with Arabs and Europeans.
Facts.
So when we speak about the African mindset and that they've been taught this mindset, they go away and then they come back with a different mindset. I would ask, what is this African mindset that's so great, and why hasn't it been activated? What is the true African mindset? To find that out, you have to look at the status of African people and African descended people worldwide. And if you can show me a population where the Black African is on top, taking the resources out the ground and to market and keeping all that all the profit in house, then I'll give you that. But since we are the cradle of civilization, we're the first man with the first plan. But at the end of the day, who gives a damn if your people are still suffering? Africa and black people worldwide are the face of poverty, handouts, and relying on the white man. And I challenge anyone to debate me on it.
That's a fact.
Thank you, brother
What we're
Kala.
trying to
Do
say,
you agree, Kala?
what I'm trying to say is, once we know our condition, so we are trying to fix things now. And I'm saying we can't fix anything. Let's focus all our attention, our energy, and our effort into the future, the children. So we should be building the infrastructure to educate the future. They will take over when it's time for them to argue and fight. They will do a better job than we did, because the education that we're preparing them for or giving to them, they will make use of it. We didn't get that education. Like what I know, my father has no idea about. What we are discussing here, our parents have no idea about. They didn't discuss it. So we have to put our children in the position where we strengthen them and give them the power and the knowledge, wisdom, and the strength to fight those battles that they have to fight in the future. But we now are trying to be the ones that's going to correct these things and this and this. It's like, no, the effort should be going into educating the future. But everybody wants to do it themselves. And it's like, we can't change anything. We're not going to change anything. We need to prepare the future for the future.
Yeah, let me jump in here, Royal. Like
No problem.
30 years ago.
Yeah.
30 years ago, when I was back, it was like 93, 94, when I was just really getting into the Black Power movement here in my area, Black stuff. And I studied with this group called the Charlotte Science Institute. You know, look him up. A German philosopher named Friedrich Schiller. You know, and he talked about the idea of infrastructure, and I learned back then that the Europeans, the way Africa is just a place of looting. The IMF, World Bank, and World Trade Organization, Bretton Woods institutions are nothing but looting, right? And they're going to keep stalling this up for the next 100 years if they can get away with it, right? That's why what's going on in Burkina Faso is a real chink in there. It was something, a chink in the armor or something like that. They back then, I realized I was showed that the railways that you see in Africa are just one track to the coast to extract raw materials, to extract wealth, extract everything. And basically, African governments is there to manage what the Europeans set in place. It's like you said, except for South Africa. South Africa was supposed to be the prototype of a lot of countries or white people ruled and black people the majority, where they have to learn their white man's civilization being taught by being ruled by white people. That's what the plan was. And then when I was after I learned what the Charlotte Institute was telling about how the World Bank and all this stuff worked, right? I would see things like Ghana is the #1 gold producer, right? And then I would match that with what I was taught at the Charlotte Institute, right? That Ghana is not actually producing the gold, right? And in fact, the gold's being produced by Canadian, Belgian, European companies and everything, right? But they give Ghana the title for some false prestige as the #1 gold producer. Now, South Africa actually produces the gold. You know, there was a world gold reserve currency with the Kruger Rand at one time, and they basically have bullion and stuff like that that's stored in banks all over the world and stuff like that, and have a reserve bank. Ghana doesn't have a gold reserve bank. So why do they keep touting that Ghana is the #1 producer of gold? Gold. Same thing with cocoa. And I always say, cuckoo, you know, Ghana, Ivory Coast #1. But the thing is, though, it's not the Ghanaians and all that. It's the French who and the Europeans who monetize their currency based on the speculation of cocoa production and
Yeah.
the thing, you know. So, but they tell the uneducated black people in America, yeah, you can take pride in Ghana and Ivory Coast producing all this cocoa and whatnot. We get pride. Look, we produce all the world's cocoa and whatnot, but you're not making chocolate. You're not doing anything. And the people there now, they say, even I look at the backbreaking work these cocoa workers do there. When I feel for them, right? They got to work long hours in the hot sun. And they said, I just want enough just to pay, I think, pay just a living. And imagine working for people, all these black people in America complaining because they got to work at UPS, they got to work at Amazon and everything like that, and they got to work a second job. How imagine working all day, sun up, sun down, and you don't have enough money to even survive. You know, but it's okay.
Africa is
But
a plantation, right? We're
yeah,
still manual labor, right? You pick the minerals, you give it to us. It's the same thing. Nothing's changed. So that's what they want. But I'm gonna step down. I gotta make this quick sell. I'll be right back.
All right, let me pass it. Go ahead, Omar. Unmute yourself.
at J Mall.
Hey, what's
Jamal,
going on,
I got a
Colin?
bone to pick with you, Jamal.
What's going
Man,
on,
you've been
Prince Dynasty?
you've been coming at me, man.
Peace.
Yo, I'm gonna get you, bro. All right.
Yeah, I think us as Pan Africans, I think you just got to stick to the mission. Because I think ultimately what happens is, man, it's going to be a lot of people that ain't going to think like us, man. You know, I think we are like a subculture in a way. I think Pan Africanism though don't always have to be uh probably doing things in Africa. I think you can still be a Pan African and doing things in your local community. So I think even the way we view Pan Africanism probably have to just change. You know, I don't think we necessarily have to do things physically on Africa. You know, you can do things in Miami, Atlanta, Philadelphia, Virginia Beach, wherever you're at. You know, so I think that's very important too. I think
Antarctica.
you know, well, look at Booker T. Washington, right? He had
You can go any place. You can be any place to be a Pan African.
but I agree. Like Booker T. Washington, right? He built institutions in the South, right? He was a Pan African, right? You know, so I think even on that level, we have to, you know, think a little clearer and not be so stern what a Pan Africanist is, because ultimately, what it is an ideal, right, of a belief that we have common interests, right? So once we do that, I think we can, you know, move forward. But we got to have that understanding. But I do think, and a wise man once told me this, that for us for Pan African to really excel, it's probably going to take blacks in the West, you know, particularly probably in America, to keep it going, because some people aren't as Pan African as blacks in America. Let's be honest. You go to some places, they're just as tribal as I don't know what, you know. So it might be on us, you know, but that's just my view on it.
Go ahead, Colin. Colin must be busy. Go ahead, knock me easy.
Yeah, so I'm still waiting for the Pan African success story, because most Pan Africans hold the ideology that Africa is our power base. So if Africa is the power base and African countries don't refine and control their resources, then we're running with no power, and that's evident. I guarantee that no one on here can give me a black African country that's run by black people that is a success story. When you go to industrialized nations on the continent, they're white run, like South Africa. I wanted to get on Dangote's project, and when I researched it, it was the same white people that I work with in Europe. So, you know, this is what I'm saying. Like, if y'all are still trying to find out what Pan-Africanism is, and we're having all these kumbaya conversations, and no one's really accepting the fact that for Africa to move forward, and if you're Pan-African and you believe that Africa is your power base, then there has to be some real hard conversations that translate to leadership change, and not only that, that translates to, you know, in inventions and innovation. If you guys are not having those conversations, like why isn't Nigeria sending their people, you know, into the diaspora to learn and come back, or why they don't come back? Everybody knows, because a human is gonna go where it's good, and Nigeria ain't good right now.
When you say go and come back, what do you mean by that? Like, as far as what,
like Kid Ola said, like the Chinese, right? The Chinese have spies in every single country. You know, they will go and buy your thing, reverse engineer it, and then make it with cheaper products and sell it back to you. You know, Africa has, you know, the youngest population in the world, but they don't produce anything. Now, I want to stop making the mistake that many Pan-Africans make, because what I just did is what I can't stand, which is compare a continent to a country. See, in a country, they have more control as to the ideology. They can say, all right, we're all going to adopt Mao Zedong's ideology, right? But in Africa, there's different countries. So since I'm a Black American of African descent, I really don't care about anything besides West and Central, which is where my people come from, because I'm not a Pan-African. I don't care about the 25th dynasty in Egypt. South Africa, and me as a Black American, and my father and mother and them, they had South African leanings because of apartheid and stuff. But for the most part, like, y'all talk the continent. Yeah, these are different sovereign countries with different issues. They speak different languages. They bang on each other over whether you're an Amazonian or you're a Francophone. And this trade agreement doesn't work because y'all are looking at the continent as a whole, and it's never been, never will be. And until you guys realize that, you're not going to be able to make any one singular strategy that's going to propel a singular country to compete on the global stage.
Hey, go ahead, Jonathan. Let me pass it. Jonathan, go ahead, Jonathan. Unmute yourself. Jonathan Miller. You got to unmute yourself. All right, go ahead, Shaw.
I'm listening, and I like the fact that my brother is really concerned mostly with East and Central. My view is that I'm waiting for East African community, that also includes Central Africa, and SADC, whatever that stands for, South Africa, and all of that group, to unify, get their stuff together, and get ready to go. Then West Africa, get it together and get ready to go. Go where? Integrate all of those regions. That's the East African communities, includes the Horn, includes Central Africa. So once we integrate those things become like a East African community, supposed to become a federation. They're working on ratifying all of that. It is in the works. It is progressing. It is happening. West Africa is a mess, and in South Africa, I don't know how far along they are, but they got a big challenge dealing with the Europeans in South Africa that control the money. They control the economy, so they got a big challenge there. But we've got to bring those communities all together, integrate them all together. Nigeria is crucial. Just came out of a room where they're talking about abandoned projects in Nigeria. And so, of course, I'm going to bring up what Ajaokuta, that one project, had it come to fruition, would have been the biggest project in quote sub-Saharan Africa in the 70s. And even today, if it's done, it will be able to provide somewhere between 350 to 500, but more like 400 to 500,000 jobs. One project, which is a steel company that has its own power plant, 110 megawatt power plant, and has a port, has a water port. That project by itself, and what I think they underplay too much is that the sabotage was not just from within; it was probably more from without, because they know that had Nigeria had an industry of oil and steel, that steel would have been able to bring them to that next level, to produce to boost their military and other things. So a project that and the lawyer that comes into your room, he said something that led me to bring this up for the first time in your space, Dynast. What Philip had said, we need projects where we can plug African Americans into a job kind of scenario. So then I brought up Ajaokuta, and he says, yeah, that would be something that would be viable. Of course, it's more to it. It's a lot of things have to be considered in terms of trying to do a major project like that and provide a public-private partnership between an African American group or groups or whatever that is, bringing up funding to complete that project that was 98% finished in 1994. 98% finished. Over 40 years, $9 billion US dollars had gone into that project that was 98% finished, and it never produced one piece of steel. Never came through it. It was completed 98% finished. Russia did the initial work in 1979. They brought in $1 billion to build this company, and then Nigeria is supposed to put its part in, and it didn't put its part in. And then over 4 consecutive presidencies and 2 coups, coups with the president, I think, Shakiri or something like that. The project was never, came to fruition. Then 1983 was another time when they tried to bring it back. And then finally, 1994, they had, upgraded it somewhat, and it was 98% finished. So I think that that's sabotage from the outside. Definitely, because what the ramifications of that project would have been. And I think that my brothers and sisters, we see the stuff going on internally, but I think that we've definitely got to look at the outside forces playing their part in keeping things like that happening. But that's a project like that would be a viable project that we could possibly, bring it into the next level. They just recently repurchased. They had sold it out, or were they in the process of some type of negotiation where they sold it to this group, and now they purchased it back so that so it belongs 100% to Nigeria. And now they're looking at trying to, get bids on people that want to, do some type of a public-private partnership to upgrade it. But what the update was they're going to put $4 million US dollars into it, which is nothing for a project like that. And then they allocated another 35 million to that project within the next 3 years, which is still not enough to upgrade it to a modern day steel producing company. Steel producing company. It needs 400 million, something like that, allegedly something around 400 million to bring it to up-to-date standards of today. But that's a project and a situation in terms of actually, I would say, taking something and making it into something, because the infrastructure is already there.
Yeah, let me pass it to Jonathan. Jonathan, are you there? Unmute yourself, Jonathan.
Yeah, I'm here.
Go ahead.
I just want to say the thing that gets me the most rattled is this idea of Pan-Africanism without a mission, a destiny, a goal. It just seemed like it's some loose shit, and everyone comes together with all these different ideas, different goals, different objectives, and they come with their own independence, their beefs, their alliances, whatever the case may be. And it just seemed like it's just some watered down bullshit. So I feel like if there was like an organization, a Pan-African organization that set a goal, a mission, an objective, and recruited based on that, and made that the identity of the Pan-African movement, you probably will get a lot more done in comparison to people just claiming to be Pan-African. I really don't know. I listen to a whole lot of different people, going to a whole lot of different channels. I don't even know what the fuck Pan-African is. It's confusing.
No, and I agree with you to a point. And I just kept it simple. Listen, I want Black people all over this planet to win. Because it's not an Pan-African organization. It's a
philosophy or what?
Idea,
something.
Centralized organization.
Yeah, it's an ideal. It's an ideal that Black people all over the globe, whether you're in Lagos, whether you're in Atlanta, London, right, Sweden, that we all have a common interest. We all have a common enemy, right? And like Johnny said, we want all Black people to win. That is simply Pan-Africanism. Let's not make this like this is some thing we can't understand. Even a first grader can understand that. So let's understand what it is. First. But I agree with Dynast. Yeah, I want all black people to win.
But John, to understand where you're coming from in regards to organization, and see, I think the problem is people have turned this idea and trying to make it into a centralized organization when it's really not.
Yeah, that's why when we created the BAIO, we created different groups, and we allow people in the social network create different groups. So we know everybody's not going to agree on each other. Everybody has different hobbies, interests, and everything like that. And I'm just the Bomani played that. Remember that meeting you held with us in 2018, Dynasty in Atlanta with Jonathan Hill and all that, and Bell, and we were playing some of that the other day, and it brought back memories of what could have been. When you guys hosted the first BAO meet and greet in Atlanta, saying that what could have been, a diverse people with different educational backgrounds, some people military, some people this, but we all believe that we should build a black race and build Africa up. We all think the same way. Not everybody got to jump to the continent.
And we do have Pan-African institutions too, right? I believe what's that? North Carolina Central produces the most black engineers in the world, right? And blacks from all over the world go there, right? To be engineers, right? Tuskegee Institution, right? The African Methodist Episcopal Church have millions of members, right? So we do have institutions also that are living the ideal of Pan-Africanism, So let's not forget that too.
Well, you guys don't forget All African People's Revolutionary Party. So that was started by Stokely Carmichael, Kwame Ture. And in the 80s, it was, I don't know if it was popular, but I know that if you were going to school, to a junior college or a four-year college, you would run into, if you were in circles, you would easily run into people who were in the study groups. You weren't a member, but you were in the study groups. And if you got through a certain level of the study information, whatever, you might be invited into the cadre, right? So, but all over the United States, in a lot of the major campuses, you would find the All African People's Revolutionary Party. And this was the basic ideology was that what we're saying now, but I would say focusing on that Africa needs to be liberated. The liberation of Africa is part of the ideology of Pan-Africanism. And other than that, it's about African people, unifying all over the world. But studying was a very important part of it, that you needed to learn, have a political education, a cultural education. The part that was missing for me was that it didn't deal with spiritual, right? It was about categorical dialecticalism or something like that, which I still don't know. I don't know what it meant. I mean, a lot of this, it was a little bit advanced for me, but at the time I was like 22 or something like that. But we were reading stuff by Rodney Walter, How Europe Underdeveloped Africa, Frantz Fanon, Chancellor Williams, How Europe Destruction of Black Civilization. So we're reading all of this type of information, getting politicized and getting historical correctness, with regards to Africa. And this is what helped you to become more of productive Pan-Africanist, whether it was locally, which is what I did, or whether it was you were going to go to Africa, to Tanzania or to Guinea or to wherever, and engage in trying to make that movement toward, the unification of Africa and the education of people. So education was huge. I'll land right there.
All right, go ahead, Elvis. Let me pass it to Elvis. Go ahead, Elvis. Unmute yourself.
All right, thank you, Donis. I think I want to kind of disagree with what the last brother said, or maybe not disagree, but just to add to his point. I had this conversation on another platform yesterday, and everybody was mad at me. We like to think that Africa is a rich continent, and I disagree. I think we're a poor continent, and most people will find that offensive if I say it. The reality is, any of our minerals or all of our minerals have no value unless it's brought to the Western countries. People talk about Congo, for example. They have coltan and all of these things that will be used in computers and cell phones. If you take it out the ground and give it to the average, Congolese and tell them to do something with it, they don't know what to do with it. It's worthless. They can't do anything with it. You go to Nigeria, they have oil. for so many years they couldn't refine the oil. They'll send it to the Western country. They will refine it, add value to it, send it back to them, and sell it to them for a profit. You go to South Africa with the diamonds that has been depleted by the De Beers mining company. You give a regular South African a lump of diamond and tell them to add value to it, because you don't sell raw diamonds and they put it on a diamond ring. You have to cut it to get it shine, to get the cut and everything. They know not what to do with it. So all of our resources has only been value has only been added to it when it's been refined by these Western countries.
But
My biggest
Elvis, let me cut you in here right now. You're right. You're on a roll, except for one thing: Botswana. Botswana actually developed because they created a company called Debswana, which was a partnership with De Beers and Botswana, right? Botswana Mining Company and everything. And they got into the diamond business, and they be able to cutting diamond, washing them, and now merchandising them and everything. Now Botswana is into the jewelry making business and everything. That was a template, a model for it. Now here's the thing, what everybody's talking about, right? Right now, Botswana, and we all know Botswana is a peaceful country. Don't bother nobody, right? Now, the worldwide left is saying Botswana is an oppressive government because it's basically going in its own territory and mining diamonds that's supposed to be on so-called indigenous Bushman land. But the Swana people and the Bushman people are so-called both indigenous. The Bushman people want to go out there and still throw spears at giraffes, and they want to give them education, say, come into the modern world, right? So basically, they with this Kimberley Mines agreement and everything, they say Botswana's engaged in blood diamonds. Why? Because Botswana is taking over the diamond industry in the world.
Colin, can I continue, please?
Yeah, go ahead.
Right. And then I would like to say the country that I come from, I think my country in particular, which is Liberia, has been perhaps the most detrimental in terms of, Pan-Africanism. They had two of the worst betrayal in Pan-Africanism. You have Charles D.B. King, who originally agreed to Marcus Garvey to sell him a plot of land, and then turned around and gave that land to Firestone, and they built the biggest rubber plantation in the world.
Let's let Elvis.
Hold on, Carla. You can't keep cutting me off. Let me make my points. And then when you come to the African Union, you have the Casablanca group and the Monrovia group, where Tubman, our president at the time, deviated from a united Africa and went to a sovereign, where sovereign nations can come together, which would have been beneficial for Africa in terms of African unity. So when people talk about the white man is our enemy and this and that, I say let's take the Chinese model, where you send your best and brightest, come to the United States, learn all of their engineering and manufacturing feats, take it back to your continent or take it back to your countries and build on them. That's what the Chinese are doing right now. Even in my country, 20, 30 years ago, people never would go to China to school and come back and be looked at as somebody who was educated. Now people go to China, get degrees, and come back and they're same as equivalent to the United States universities. So China did that model. They sent their best and brightest. They went back to China and built up their countries. So we can't
Elvis,
quote unquote look at the white man. Go ahead, Colin.
Let me get in here about CB King. Now you have to understand what was going on at the time, right? And like I said, I'd like for you to be more.
Colin, he was friends with Harvey Firestone's son. They were best friends.
Hold on.
Wait, hold on. Why does Kala always interrupt people? The brother's from Liberia.
I'm trying to make a point.
I like to hear his perspective.
He said his perspective. I'm trying to make a point, right? Let me make my point, and when they go right back, I said like this: he misrepresented something, right, at the time period. Now I'm trying to tell Elvis, right, instead of him being bitter about history, right, look at, and I'm not going to apologize for CB King, but let's look at the world the way it was right back then, right? The British and the French were encroaching on Liberia's territory. They almost took over Liberia as a territory. It was a native Liberian.
Carla, we lost you.
Yeah, you're talking about the 1920s. Charles D.B. King did that for a car. He was the first person to have a car in Liberia with rubber tires on it and rode around like a big boy. Love coming to the United States. Love dressing up like a Freemason with the top hat and all that nonsense.
Elvis, I find it interesting that you wouldn't include the 1980 coup.
No, I'm talking about Pan-Africanism, right? That's what we're talking about in terms of people who undermine who undermined the struggle. Those are some of the people that I'm pointing out.
You don't think the 1980 coup didn't have anything to do with that, as far as undermining the struggle?
Perhaps, but I'm talking more directly, right? Those could be, broken down, and you can attribute some of the, that to whatever. But the point is, there are other people who have undermined Pan-Africanism, but the ones that I know about.
The point I'm trying to make, and these are facts. The 1980 coup did more to undermine Liberia than anything.
That's the point. When you say that, I would agree with you, but we're talking Pan-Africanism, right? In terms of the international, solidarity for Africans to unite. Marcus Garvey was betrayed by, Charles D.B. King. The African Union.
You know, right? You know why? Correct? Do you know why?
Tell us. I have my suspicions, but if you know, I would like to learn.
No, because he said he's going to crown himself emperor in Liberia.
Oh gosh. Okay. And then who did he give it to? Did he give it to another, a rival organization? He gave it to the white man, who has been pillaging Liberia ever since. So my point here is we're our own worst enemies.
And I would say this. I would say yes. I agree with you, and I don't agree with you. And the reason why I say that is, I partially agree with you, but then on the flip side, hey, the Firestone created a number of middle class families. So, there's positive and there's negatives. I just know Firestone created opportunities for Liberians, and that's a fact.
I think Liberia was well off until that coup happened.
And that's my point. He completely skipped over the 1980 coup. Conveniently. Yeah, Liberia was fine until that.
For who? Well off for who?
For everybody.
No.
Certainly for everybody. When I look back at it, because me and my wife, my brother-in-law, we were looking at old films of Liberia from way back in the days, and boy, it was nice.
No, you're looking at just one second, brother. You're looking at just the capital city, which is Monrovia. You're looking at it with the street looking clean and the cars riding around. You go outside of Monrovia and everything is not developed.
You mean like if I leave outside of the Bay Area and I'm driving down, and it looks like I'm in a foreign land or some shit like that, like I'm in the country.
Yeah. When you go to the countryside, it was underdeveloped.
I mean, the countryside is always the countryside like that everywhere in every country.
That's in every country, Elvis. Like currently in 2023, when I travel outside of major cities in Africa, they're underdeveloped.
So, but that's the point. When you say a country is doing well, and you're looking at just the capital city, and equating that to the entire country, that's not true. You can say Monrovia was thriving in those days. That's fine, but not the entire country. That's the point.
They'll make it seem like Liberia is a big ass country.
We have 15 counties, right? 15 counties. Montserrado is like the smallest county with the capital city of Monrovia there. So even in Montserrado, after you leave that capital city, you go into the rural, parts of Montserrado. It's not developed. It's quite underdeveloped. We're still trying to develop it. People are building houses and whatever, but it's still very underdeveloped. Donis, you've been there. Colin has been there. They traveled there. They know how it is.
But
I've been there before. Well, if you go to the rural parts of America, it's undeveloped too.
I love Syncor. When I'm in Syncor, Tubman Boulevard, I think I'm in Manhattan. You can't.
Yeah, those are that's the Beverly Hills of Liberia, so to speak. That's where most of the wealthy people live.
Well, I see a lot average Liberians there too. They're cool. My peeps, man. They're on the street. Yeah, what up, bro? What up, nigga?
Can I jump in here real quick?
But isn't there a difference between slums and villages? Like a village is a place where people have been there for a long time. It's sustainable. It's more.
They choose to live a certain way. They prefer that way of life.
The reason I said that, brother, one second. The reason I said that, it was in response to Dinus, who was saying that Firestone brought, quote unquote, wealth to the country, but it was only in the hands of a few, and it didn't matriculate down to those in the villages to improve their lives.
Whoa, Elvis! Many indigenous families benefited from Firestone.
Yo, Dinus, I want to jump.
Not really, Dinus. They lived on like a dormitory where it's like the houses is owned by Firestone. So sure, they were living in better housing, but it was not their personal houses. They live on a dormitory where they have water and other things like that. My grandfather worked in one of those places. My mother was born on a campus similar to Firestone, which is in Lamco in Nimba. So the point is, these companies come there and build better housings So if you're used to living in a hut or whatever, and you go into a house that has running water and everything, you're living a better life, but only temporary. Because when the war came, they all had to leave from Habel and go back to the villages or go back to their towns, and those houses were not theirs. So they went back to where they started. So don't say that, Dynasty.
Bro,
Let
bro,
me
what
let me
I'm
jump
look,
in here. Let me
I
jump
was
in
the
here
hold
man
because
on,
back
y'all
hold
are
too.
on.
talking.
Hold on,
Hold on,
go
hold
ahead,
on.
Dynasty.
Y'all
Go
are
ahead, Dynasty.
talking about everything that the white man did for y'all in Africa. The Firestone Company is a white American company. If you look at some of the video of how it looked clean. But if you really look at it, it looked like almost some modern day slavery stuff. So the De Beers Company is started by the descendants of Dutch voortrekkers. So I'm trying to find out from any of y'all hard-hitting Pan-Africans, I want any of y'all to step up and show me African excellence on the continent without the help of the white man.
But
Because
that's
the De
unfair,
Beers,
chosen one.
I'm
Chosen,
Well,
not
that's
finished.
that's
I'm not
unfair.
finished.
That's
I'm
unfair.
not finished.
That's
I'm not
unfair,
finished.
man.
Let him finish.
One thing I don't do is I don't interrupt people when they're speaking. I'll let you speak, and all I hear is white man this, white man that. Pan-Africanism is actually anti-African because the continent is broken down in ethnic groups, and their power is derived from voting from ethnic groups. So y'all trying to make it like this one black thing, and history has shown y'all, but a lot of y'all don't want to just accept it, that black people don't like working with each other. Just accept it. And any of the industrial complexes on the continent were started by white people because there was no industrial revolution on the continent, and we're in like the 5th industrial revolution. So when y'all have the hard conversation of saying, look, what is the giant of Africa? Oh, it's Nigeria. Those are European countries that are refining that oil. So when you talk about, oh, Dangote, he just made it, it's all European companies that's helping him build that. He just bankrolling it. There's no, when they talk about brain drain on the continent, yeah, there's brain drain, but I think the continent has suffered from brain rot and mental laziness.
So
So
you
one
don't
of the
know
brothers,
history.
Are you
like
complaining about
So
something
you
that
don't know your
everyone
yeah,
history.
but
does?
hold on,
Obviously,
Jonathan.
you don't know
I
your
didn't
history.
interrupt you
I
when
know
you
you
made the
didn't, but you're
false
talking some
equivalent of
craziness
hoods.
now.
I
But
didn't
you don't know your
interrupt
history.
you when you wait. Hold on. I didn't. I'll cook any of y'all on history facts. I didn't interrupt either one of y'all when y'all were making a false equivalent of hoods in America to huts in Liberia. The fact is that if America was so bad, you wouldn't have any able African that can leave Africa going to America. So stop the cap.
You said Africans don't know how to work together. That's a lie.
Okay, show
Said
me
that
where
we're
they are.
lazy. Before we were
Show me where they
interrupted.
are.
So before we were rudely interrupted on our progress in life and doing things, we can go back in history and see the times when we were interrupted and what we were doing before we were interrupted. So what you're saying is a lie.
Man, forget about the
Well,
history.
I'm asking you for
Hold on,
show
hold
me
on. We're
when
talking
we were
about
Yeah,
working
now.
together.
let's not go
Well,
back a
right
We
thousand
here,
worked
years.
right here.
together in
Hold on, hold on, hold
the
on. Let's not
Benin
go. Let's not go
kingdom.
back.
The even better than that, a better example than that is the different empires of Mali, Ghana, and
Yeah, but let's
Bro,
not
Senegal.
go
forget
back
about the
too
Yeah,
far
history.
in the
Forget
years.
about
Come
the
on,
history.
y'all.
we don't have to go that far,
Yeah,
but
come
those empires were warring with each other, which is why people like you and I exist.
Not busy.
Well,
And that's a fact.
there's some
Not
truth to
busy.
that,
But
but
that's
again,
yeah.
the people did work together enough to
Oh, but
integrate
bro,
their
bro,
They
bro,
were
bro,
different
they were
bro.
competing
communities.
with each other to get the white man's business. That's a fact.
Yeah, but
That's why
chosen
I
one,
exist.
chosen
Yeah,
one.
but they had to work together to do that, though.
Yeah, but
Bro,
you
what I
saying
And that's
yeah,
just
Yeah,
that
to
time
sell other
period.
black people out. Stop it.
man,
So
let's
that
Zulu
came
talk,
okay.
man.
So you're
You know
talking
what?
about selling
Before we
black
talking
people out.
this,
Now you're
bro.
talking about the quote slave trade, right?
No, what I'm
Yeah,
here,
I
yes,
can.
about
But
Right.
it's not
So
only
we're
the
not
slave
talking
trade.
about
I
the
can put
slave
that
trade.
literally to anything when you're talking about finances and economy. It's all being controlled by white people.
The
Why do
the
you think in the Sahelian
The
region
Ghana
they're
Empire
cooking
wasn't
French?
controlled by white people. The Ghana
Excuse me.
Empire was not controlled by white people. The Mali Empire was not
You're
controlled by
going,
white
brother.
people.
You're talking about some
Give me,
back in the day stuff that
yeah,
happened
but
before we
we have a
existed.
history like that though, brother. We didn't come around the corner just yesterday. We got a history that goes back to the beginning of human beginnings. So we can't just
Exactly,
look
and
at
that is the stain on
can't
black
just
people. If
look at
we
our
were the first
history in the
man
last
and we don't
100
have
or
any
200
Yeah,
to
but
years.
show for
I
it,
think,
I'm
this
sorry,
is what I
sir.
think
We have a
apply
lot to
with this.
show for it because the world has the foundation of the sciences of and civilization of the world came from Africa. That's
Yeah,
okay,
what we
so
but
have
now
to
let me
show
ask you
for it.
this, brother. Who am I talking to? Because I'm gonna end this real quick. Is Elvis? No. Jonathan, who is this?
Shah.
Shah. All right. So Africa is a cradle of civilization. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, but that's just a catch-all statement. We get
Okay,
into the
okay. Well,
basic
do you agree
specifics.
that we had the technology and we taught Europeans how to do this and how to do that?
They learn a great deal from us. Yep, and
Okay,
not
so
all that we taught them.
how do the teachers end up being the perpetual students?
The teachers, the perpetual students. That's a lie right there. We
No,
not
it
the
is
perpetual
because
students.
Africans ain't teaching nobody anything.
So now you're looking at today. You're back to today. We
Yeah,
left
that's what
Kemet.
we're talking about.
We
And if you
left.
want to make any
Well, no, we're talking about
good
what we've
conversation
done.
about the nature of black people
You
or the
said
status
black
of
people don't
black
work
people, you
together.
got to bring it to today.
Right. So
Stop jacking
today,
the 25th dynasty when
uh,
there's people dying in boats off the coast of Libya.
all right. So as
60
a
today.
result of a
60
Holocaust,
today,
right?
60 2 weeks
So
ago off the coast of
if you look
of
at
of,
today,
of Spain.
we're at a Holocaust situation. We have been totally, like somebody took an atomic bomb and blew up Hiroshima. That's what we are. We have suffered that kind of a Holocaust, and the enemy continues to burrow in us over the last 3, 4, 500 years. And even before that, if you go back 2,000, 3,000 years ago, we've been under attack at different times, different places. And so really the destruction of our civilizations probably started about 3,000 years ago
Okay, so
and
how
has
could
not
they
let up
destroy
until
our
today.
civilizations? Because there was no military advancement that we could use to fight them. If you take it to South Africa, we were fighting with spears and they was using Gatling guns. Again, where is the African innovation? Because you could
Okay.
have you could have a bag of diamonds and I can take them from you with a knife I bought from the 99-cent store.
We
So
went
you got
from
white
that
people,
black
you
people
got,
don't
hold
work
on, brother,
together.
hold on, because I'll try to let you speak, but you're avoiding my questions. You jumping from
You're
different
jumping.
time periods.
You're
When I'm
moving.
saying today and historically, Africans have not created anything useful that the world can use, and this is why they are not competing on the world market. And if you would counter that by saying, well, the white man took it, then I would say, then why didn't we have military innovation? And that's what y'all don't want to talk about.
Well,
Not
you could always say, why didn't we have this and why didn't we have that? But you started off by saying that African people don't work together. And then you said something a little later
No,
that
they don't.
we're lazy, right?
I said
Those are both
mentally
lies.
lazy. Mentally
Those are
lazy.
both lies, though, but those are
No,
still both
you're
lies.
lying because you said I said lazy. I said mentally lazy. Quote me
Okay, so
correctly.
you corrected me on that. That's still a lie. We're not
Okay, well
mentally lazy.
then I'll prove it for you. When was the African Industrial Revolution?
I would say
African crickets now. Now I hear African crickets.
No, you said industrial revolution. I
Yes.
would argue not industrial revolution, but the beginnings of civilization and science is our highest zenith, and our last great walk in the sun was probably the 26th dynasty in Kemet. So I'm going to
Okay,
use
and I knew you were
Kemet
going
as
to go to Egypt, where you and I are not descendants of, which is why
oh,
I'm not. I
that's a
don't look
lie.
at the
That's a lie
continent
because
as one.
one
No,
of the
we're
oldest
not. But
ones.
hold on, brother. You
I'll
took
prove
me
it.
to 26th dynasty.
Right.
I'm asking you in
I'll
the
go back.
1800s or even right before
Of course,
slavery,
you're asking
Mali,
me
all these empires. I'm asking you to show me when Africans have created stuff that the world uses now.
Okay.
Go.
So they use trigonometry, they use calculus, they use geometry, they use anatomy, they use astronomy astronomy. So even today, you find some of the highest levels of astrophysics among the people who live so simple, like the Dogon people.
Okay, so now
even quantum mechanics. You can
the
find quantum
mathematics that you
mechanics.
spoke about,
You can
the mathematics that you
listen,
spoke about, I'm
You can
asking you
find
for
quantum
an
mechanics
example where they created something with that math
based to
that the world
mathematics
uses now.
in E5 divination. You can find quantum
I don't
mechanics.
care about all of that,
I know
all of
you
that
don't.
kumbaya stuff,
Of course
bro.
you don't.
People are dying
I'm telling
in
you where
boats
they
trying
got
to
it from.
escape the continent.
Right?
So,
Of course you don't care
so
about
make the
that
math.
because you don't know
Your
your
math
history.
isn't mathing. Your math isn't mathing. So you talk about geometry, trigonometry, and all of that. But I'm asking you now, what is the technology that was created from that? Go.
Pyramids that they can't build today.
No, the pyramids were created by
E5.
black slaves that were enslaved under those Arab invaders into Egypt. Okay,
Wait,
I'm
say that
asking you.
again. Say that again.
I'm asking you for
Say that
what
again, though.
have
What
they
you just said.
created for today.
What
I
did
don't
you
care
say
about
about slaves
Tourist
that built the pyramids?
pyramid. I
Did
don't
you
care
say?
about Dusty Tourist
Did you
pyramid.
say slaves
Talk
built the
about
pyramid?
today. Talk about today.
Did you say slaves built the pyramid?
Yeah, absolutely, I did.
Okay, there you go. I don't even have any more conversation for you because
Okay,
you
well
don't know
then
your
pick up a
history.
book and learn,
You
because
don't
everybody on this
know
chat
your
knows that it was
history.
free
I
labor that
rest
built
my
the pyramids.
case with that point that you
Everybody
just
knows
made.
that it was free labor.
I rest
But
my
the
case.
typical Pan-African jumps to the 25th and the 26th dynasty while avoiding the question which I asked you, which is what technology was created with that mathematics that Africans supposedly created. Now I'll
And
give it back to
you
you,
mentioned
please.
the 1800s when we're deep in the middle of this of European slave trade. That's
Right. And now
we have been
who
we have been.
facilitated the European slave
You're
trade
going to
with
ask
the
about
Europeans?
our development when we're in the deepest midst of the Holocaust that the
Oh
ma'afa of our
God.
people. You're going to ask about our development in the.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna ask
That
you
is
so that you can. So what I'm
totally
gonna do is I'm
asinine.
gonna corner you on every single weak victim point that you try to pull out. So I'm asking you, who were the trade partners for those Europeans on the continent?
Who were the trade partners?
Yes, you have the European sellers, the European buyers, turned
Africans,
sellers
Africans.
who
So
sold.
we're gonna take the few, right? The exception to the rule is the ruling families that were complicit and they're culpable for
Right.
some of
So
the
it was a trade.
transactions.
You agree it was a trade, right?
But they are the minority and they are the exception. Most of the slave trade was as a result of parties going in and warring with small groups and taking
That's cap. You
raid
can't get a
parties.
white man to stay on the beach for 20 years
Parties.
without almost burning
That
to a
was
crisp. They
most
didn't know how to get to
of
the
what happened
hinterland until we took them,
in the
and
slave
that's a
trade or
fact.
the war against it was a war. It was a war.
No, it wasn't a war. It was a trade deal. And then when they couldn't fill up the boats, then they started taking randoms. It was Africans that were under their corrupt leadership, which is the same leadership today, that was selling the human resources off the continent. And now it's the natural resources. So every time you bring me to why Africa's this and why Africa's that, there's some white man hiding in there saying, hey, they worked with us, or hey, we created that. De
What
Beers in Botswana, De Beers was created by white men, and they're giving Botswanan people 15% because the Botswanans haven't created a market or a technology to refine the diamonds.
and this again is Africa after we have gone through all of this tragedy and we're in a situation.
What tragedy did Africa go through that Africans weren't complicit in?
I use Kemet as an example.
Well, Kemet, what? Come on, brother. You're taking me to the 25th dynasty.
Let's get this
You're
together.
not an Egyptian, bro.
First of all, let's get this together. I'm at 2 points. One is the oldest known mummy or human fossil that they did DNA testing on was E1B1, and that was Ramses. He's one of the oldest. He was from the royal family. He was E1B1, which is Niger Congo haploid group. So what the I want to say what the fuck are you talking about? But I didn't want to use.
Well, you can say that, brother. I'm not going to get offended, but I would say, what the fuck does that have to do with black people's condition
You said
today?
that they're not us.
They're not us. You are not Southern Sudanese, bro. You're not
Niger
Nilotic.
Congo is E1B1.
Okay, yeah, that's
Okay,
actually
yeah,
my
what? Okay, yeah,
haplogroup. But
what?
you're going so far back
Yeah,
to
but you just
avoid
said
the
they're
fact
not
that
us,
black
though.
people today haven't done shit.
But you're saying that they weren't us. I just disproved you
No,
on that.
When you
we're
say
not
wait,
those
And next,
people.
when you say
We're
black
not
people,
those
are you
people.
including Black American people?
yeah, we're from
I
the
am
Niger
Black
Congo
American.
people.
I mean,
No,
are
no,
you?
no.
When you
And
say Black Americans today haven't done shit, are you including Black Americans?
No. What I'm saying, if you
Okay,
look at
cool.
my thing, it's the chosen ones. Black Americans are the chosen ones. We are the shining star of black people worldwide. We're the face of black people worldwide. We're the highest educated black people worldwide. We're the richest black people worldwide.
then how
And when
come you
people will
don't
counter that
control?
and say you did that because you were under the white man, we
How come
didn't
you
have
don't
a choice in
control
that.
your economy and your
Well,
community?
not me. See, I got to push back. Then why? How are we the most visible black people in the world? Like, who controls the media?
Excuse me? Regardless of whether who, no, the
Ah,
Jews.
nah. Who
Let
decides
me
to make
answer your
the most?
question, brother. I'm not going to run from it.
Go
You
ahead.
know I ain't going to run from that. Because my answer to your question was in my statement, right? And my statement was we are the most visible black people, the richest and the highest educated black people. And we did that in America, which we helped build.
Rich as how?
Riches in money.
You don't
But
control your
with
economy and your
credit,
community. You
right?
don't have
No,
business. You
not in
don't have
credit, brother.
grocery
In
stores.
cash.
You don't
In
have a
cash.
hospital. You don't have a
I
hospital
disagree.
that you control. You don't control your politics in your community. You don't control your economy in your community.
Right.
So
Okay.
how
So
are
now
you
give
so
me
exceptional?
the successful African country that's run by
No, we're
African
talking about how
politicians.
exceptional African Americans are. Yet we got all of these things going on in our communities.
Yeah, and that's
That's
why I
not what
always start
exceptional
with
people
black
do.
people worldwide. I
Oh no,
always
no,
start
no,
with black people worldwide. We've been
no. You
taking
said we're
L's.
the richest. We're all these
But
things.
we are. And you know what that
Okay.
translates to, brother? It translates to we are the tallest midget in America. We are the smartest retard in America. We are the fastest slowpoke in America because everything that I just said translates to black people worldwide, but we're the shining star or the best performing of the losers of the race war.
I agree with that.
Okay. All right. I don't know where to
Yeah, all
get.
right. So now I put you on the grill. I cooked you. Would you want to get turned over and I could cook you on the other side?
You're not cooking.
You got cooked, bro.
You're showing your ignorance, one, about history. And
All
then
right.
you're
Show me where I'm ignorant.
You're showing your sense. Well, first of all, about the first things that we were talking about, which is Africans can't work together. That
Well, they haven't. They don't
we're
because
not
they're not the
related to
same
the
people.
ancient Egyptians. That I didn't even tell you about the fact that most of our history has been in the Nile Valley as a people coming out of these Niger Congo. 5,000-6,000 years of history.
Are you an
We were able
Egyptian,
to
brother?
develop.
Are you an Egyptian?
I have ancestry from there. Yes, I do.
Oh, wait, are you an Egyptian though?
I a Yoruba. I have Yoruba
Oh,
ancestry.
well, Yoruba people come from Nigeria, correctly?
Does that
Correct?
make me Nigerian that I have Yoruba ancestry?
No, absolutely not.
There you go. That's your answer.
So exactly. So you're not an Egyptian. So stop
I'm not an
swagger
Egyptian, but I
jacking
have
Egyptian
Yoruba
culture.
ancestry.
You're not an Egyptian.
I have Kemetic ancestry.
You are a 23andMe Nigerian, a Yoruba.
No, I never used 23andMe.
Well, whatever. You're my ancestry, Yoruba. You're not even a real Yoruba.
I didn't even use that.
Yeah, I will say this. It is a lot of African Americans with a diverse DNA around all of Africa, as far as Madagascar, Mozambique. So some African Americans aren't only West African too. So I think we need to kill that myth a little bit. You know what I mean? Because even Muhammad Ali, he had ancestry all the way to Madagascar, right? And it's many people like that, right? So we got to kill that myth. I will say this though. Why is it in a lot of Pan-African circles, right? We always go back 2,000 years ago, you know.
Yeah, bro. And you know what I got, if I can interject, Omar, I got criticized for that. Like I'm tired of starting with Kemet. Like I don't want to include Kemet. Like, I'm West African. Like I don't like, and you know what? I rarely agree with Nakmizi. I rarely do, but we're not Southern Sudanese.
Thank you.
Hey, can I ask a question real quick? Good afternoon, by the way. Hey, the chosen one. I got a question for you.
Yes,
The
sir.
chosen
I'm ready.
one?
Yes.
Hey, so let me ask you this. I was listening to you. Do you consider yourself mentally lazy?
Nope.
So
But I
what have
am my
you?
people
personally? Let me ask you this:
Hold
what
on,
have you
let me
invented?
finish answering your question because I give you a yes or no.
You
I am
answered it.
not
You
mentally
answered it.
lazy.
No, that's enough. That's enough to answer that.
Okay,
What
go
have
on,
you?
brother.
What have you invented? And I don't mean this to slight you. Don't get me wrong. But what
Right.
have you invented that the rest of the world uses? You.
Well, me personally, what I have personally invented, you'd have to be in the petrochemical industry to actually have used it, and a small section of the petrochemical industry to have used it. And I'm not going to dox myself and tell you exactly what it is, but I do have an invention that I invented 4 years ago in the Netherlands where I work now. But I'm a business owner.
Easy. Why won't you share it?
Not because you wouldn't even know what it is.
It doesn't matter. It's an invention.
So it could be fair. So how do we know that there are people like you, Africans like you, who got take the same position you take? They've contributed,
there are absolutely. What I'm saying, if you look at the fruits, and I am my people, so the next part of my answer to you would have been like, I personally am not mentally lazy, right? But I am my people, and if my people, the shining star of Black people, overall have a lot more work to do, then yes, we are mentally lazy, and I'm going to include myself in that. Personally, no, I'm not.
Okay.
You're the exception to the rule.
Right.
I'm not the exception to the rule. I would say that there's a lot of us that are mentally lazy, and I think that's why we click the link, because we actually want to see change. But I say as a group, overall, we could be doing a lot better. I think that's the whole point of these conversations. And I want to bring just reality to it, because when we talk about culture and this and that, look, all of that stuff is cool, but you have to talk about innovation.
I don't think lazy is the right word, but
mentally lazy.
I could probably agree.
But Nat, even when we talk about culture, we don't know what culture is. Most people in the world can't even define their own culture, right? A lot of times, all we go to is food and a style of dress. That's only about 5% of what culture is, right? So even within that, because I hear these chats all the time, oh, culture this. No,
I have to agree with Professor.
whether you're a Black American, I know people in Nigeria can't even describe their culture. It's more than just dancing and food, that you make,
Culture
So even within that, we don't know what culture is. As Black people, it's hard for us to identify what culture is. And that's
culture informs dance, it informs music, it informs those things.
Useful
culture comes from your ideals, your values, your mores, but it is not the dance, it is not the clothes.
Thank you,
It is the stuff that informs that, right? So what informs your dance? It is the ideals of your people, the ideals of the values of your people, is how you look at the world. So for me, innovation is going to only come, the innovation that is going to come that will trump what the Western world is doing, because they really only got part of the information that they got from us. They only understood it to a degree, which is why they just now are getting to understanding spirit through physics, through quantum physics. That quantum physics is bringing them to this spooky stuff that they can't explain logically, but they're able to do experiments and prove it that way. So now it's legitimate, right? Well, we've been knowing about that for more than 20,000 years. And the innovation is going to come from African mindset thinkers, people that have the mindset that the Dogon, traditional people of the Dogon people, and the traditionalists, the Ifa practitioners, that are going to take the modern day science with their ancient science and come up with a new energy, a new technology. And Europeans are not there yet, but they're getting there. But if we're not careful, people who are controlling AI today, those people are the same people who have these cultural biases, who are racist, who are white supremacists. They have a system of white supremacy. They're in control of AI, and that's a problem. When they put quantum computing on that, we've got our hands full. We got a challenge ahead of us, because that takes it to another level.
Let me read this. Let me read this super chat.
Who created AI? White people.
Yeah, let me read this super chat. What is the solution? Because collectively, where Black people are at, we are on the bottom. Black people don't control or dominate any areas or activities involving humans.
That's a whole fact.
Yeah, I think there's so much like involved in it though. You can't narrow it down. Like it's nuanced in the sense that there are cultural things, religious things that kind of, if not get in the way of people inventing and exploring new ideas, it doesn't encourage, right? When you, and I'm not, trying to blanketly categorize Africa or anything, but when you come from a society or a culture that doesn't promote science, where religion and superstition kind of pervades in society, and those who stray away are kind of ostracized, you can end up behind the curve on when it comes to invention and science, right?
And that's what
it's not only that, though.
Abrahamic religions have done to Africa. That's what Abrahamic religions, because
Well, not just. I think it's beyond that. I think superstition.
Hold on. Let's not bring religion in it. What I will say is, it's hard to innovate, right? Innovation usually comes through times of
bring anything into it, by the way.
It comes from times of peace, right? If you have leisure time, right? That's when innovation comes, right?
That's another one.
You can't innovate if you're going through a civil war, right? That's going to kill. If you're having a brain drain, you can't, right? So let's not say, oh, why is not Africa innovating right now? Well, you have to be stable for one thing to innovate, So we got to remember that, you know what I mean? But go ahead, Theo.
And right, and information is captured, right, by a lot of times by the powerful, people with money, people with power, right? So let's say America didn't just in the isolation of the world innovate. America shopped around the world, for people who had ideas. If they didn't bring people to America, they actually just borrowed the ideas from outside of America and incorporated them into America. And having that luxury of time, right? When you don't have to, when you're not caught up in survival mode, right? When you're a powerful, rich nation and you have time to experiment, time to explore the resources that go into those things, it kind of expounds on itself as time goes on. So those are things you have to take into account. And you can say history put Africa at a disadvantage as it pertains to colonization, slavery, and other brutal forms of exploitation and hindrance. So it's so much to throw in there. You can't just chalk it up to one thing. It's very nuanced, but it's not, you can't just say it's just laziness. Right.
Well, look,
you can say people are prioritizing other things because they say necessity is the mother of all inventions, right? So necessity, though, may not dictate invention at all. Sometimes if you're hungry, you ain't thinking about invention. You're thinking about the straight path from A to B, straight path from hunger to having something to eat. And that may not involve inventing anything. It may just require the skill and ability that you have at hand, right? And some people are caught up in that on a day-to-day, and they're not thinking about inventing anything extraordinary.
And you're 100% right. The fact that when you don't have, you have to create or take, right? Africans in the west and central part of Africa had everything they needed to sustain themselves. So when I'm talking about that didn't work out good for people of African descent living today.
Well, yeah, it only doesn't work out when you come into contact with other people who intend to compete with you for the resources that you have. And they have, if you know what you have to watch, if you never saw this,
point, brother. I'm really responding to your point, brother. So what I'm saying, yes, when you have everything you need, it's going to, breed essentially laziness, okay? Because you don't have to go out and get. So if we go by the model that they had, Jesus Christ, can I finish, bro?
No, go ahead. Yeah, my bad. I ain't
All
trying to
right,
cut you
white
off.
Jesus, please come into this man's soul and stop him from cutting me off. Maybe you'll stop cutting me off now. So now, white people were also at war with each other, right? So the whole thing that you cannot innovate and create during wartime is cap. Okay. So they were at war with each other, trying to get and take resources. And what they did is they just traded with Africans, a lot of them on the west coast of Africa. And who caught the shit end of the stick on those negotiations? It was Africans. They were selling off human resources, or the leaders of Africa were selling their own people for liquor, schnapps, and umbrellas and mirrors. It didn't work out. And
But they,
until we get to the point where we can say, yo, that's true, we have to move differently.
We always
Okay.
go back to this when we're talking about constructive
Says the man who goes back to the 26th dynasty, whose ancestors were enslaved in West Africa.
Back to the slave trade.
Brother, I wasn't finished. I wasn't finished.
Therapy.
I wasn't finished. You're not going to overtalk me, because on a one-on-one, I will cook you on anything as it relates to Africa.
You haven't, though. You haven't.
No, but I have, though. But I have. You're a descendant of West and Central African enslaved peoples, and you keep jumping to the 26th dynasty that you have absolutely no connection to, unless it's from a 23andMe DNA kit.
You're misinformed about that.
No. So, brother, please inform me.
I just told
go
you.
Go back in history with your people and take us to Egypt right now.
Ramses the first.
You're not related to Ramses.
Same DNA as Niger Congo people, E1B1. That's the.
So what would that make you?
How is that? That means that what Ramses was 4,000 years? No, that's 6,000 years ago.
Right.
Right. So 6,000 years ago. We can talk about population migrations and movements of people. We've got more of that information now. See, a lot of information is being corroborated with some of the historical
information. You're talking about migration,
genetics.
Brother, can you give me a direct line to your people in West and Central Africa? And I'll take a whole region. Do your people come from East or West Africa?
I come from Central and West. And
just like me, brother. So why you jacking Egypt?
Because again,
dynasty, the 25th and the 26th, and the 25th dynasty was labeled as invaders.
That speaks to the same haploid group of Niger Congo people. We're E1B1 too. So that proves it right there. There's other evidence. When you go to West Africa right now, the Awe people, the Yoruba people, the Edo people, the Akan groups say that they migrated from Kemet.
No, I got to interject. The Yorubas don't say they migrated from you.
Thank you.
Some do.
And the ones that matter don't.
Come on, but I'm saying, Shah, your history goes directly back to West Africa, bro.
Yeah, but
so why you jacking Egypt?
They migrated from Kemet, from Kush or Kemet.
See, why you're worrying about 5,000-year-old migration patterns that have nothing to do with today, you won't talk about the hard truth that Black Africans and Black people, for the most part, are at the bottom of every social class they're in.
People, Sheikh Anta Diop has done a lot of work with talking about his ethnic group and how they're connected to ancient Egypt. So if all of these people are saying that, and these are scholars, heavy,
this is Hotepism at its worst.
I can agree with you on this. Chosen ones, the chosen ones, right? You do have to figure out, like, where does that even matter, right? The idea that, let's say Black people invented the pyramids. Like, how does that translate to today? Which I can say there's the idea of history being able to inform you in a way that it helps you to overcome the inferiority complex that, was drilled into Black people, right? The idea that Black people have no history, Black people haven't contributed to humanity, right? And that history starts at slavery, right? A lot of that has done a lot to make Black people feel inferior, and as if Black people are just innately have nothing to offer, right? We're just here to work for white folks, right? So you look into history to draw from history the where you can some form of confidence or some type of some type of idea that Black people are capable and have done this. There have been empires. We played a role, but that's not enough, right? You can't rest on that. That's not really bragging rights
But
if
you
we're
can
not
build on it,
using that.
yo. You can
Right.
build
But
on
you
it.
have to be building on it. You can't just
Right.
use that. Just like you can't use like Africa is full of resources as bragging rights, because it says nothing when you have all the ingredients, but you still are helpless. Right.
So
It
how are you
says
going to build on it
nothing
when you're under
for you.
attack?
What's that?
When you're under attack and you've been under attack, we just finished saying that it's hard to create and to build on your sciences and your history and whatever when you are faced with survival, when you're faced with being under attack and being in a position that we've been in for so long. So,
right. I mean, it's a struggle. That's the struggle, right?
right.
And I think right at this point, it's about borrowing from not just history, but from what we see now. Like, I think it's fair. A lot of people want to shy. What's the word I'm looking for? Not shy away from, but kind of push anything that's European like to the side, like it's of no use. You know, whether it's ideas or inventions. But the truth is, you have to be willing to borrow from the world. Like everything, every idea that exists in the world is everyone's for the taking and utilization, if you ask me.
The master
right?
teachers are saying that we have to break shit back down to its basic and start from there again. Because if you're developing sciences and it is for power or money or money, right? You will split the atom in order to, defeat your enemy. African people would never split an atom to defeat their enemy because it's far too destructive. The situation that Europe, the Western world has us in now, where we're facing this Earth, the planet heating up like it is, and Mother Nature is showing them like, okay, well, I'm gonna show you better than I can tell you, right? That's where we are right now.
I get what you're saying.
Right. So
but
we
the truth
cannot
is,
develop in those ways, and the way that they've taken this basic science and developed it into the things that they're doing now is not really beneficial to the majority of human beings in the world, because the majority of human beings in the world under this capitalist system is suffering and not in a peaceful place where they can live their lives however they want to do it. If they want to just live as hunter and gatherers, that's important too. If that's what they want to do as a people, they want to live as hunter and gatherers like the bush people, then they should be left alone so that they can do that. And the world should be healthy.
Do you want to be a hunter gatherer?
I said if people want to do that. If
do you choose hunter gatherism or capitalism?
I say this about it. It's not a matter of what I choose. To me, the highest level of civilization is one in which you're living sustainable in the world, where you're living sustainably. Try to gather that sustainably. What does that really mean?
But you also have to.
I want him to explain what sustainable
people that live closest to the earth, and they are people who are like hunter gatherers. They're the most sustainable living people in the world. That's the highest level of civilization.
No, that's actually the lowest level of civilization.
And that's
your white mind. When you embrace that,
has done to you right there. That's what European thought has
No, but here's the thing. European thought has also made my bank account probably 3 times bigger than yours.
And
we live in a capitalistic society. We live in a capitalistic society, and for me to go anywhere to do anything as it relates to Black people, I have to have money to get it done. You see, so you need money. So if it wasn't for money, and if I didn't have the expertise to create things that can earn me money, and if I didn't have the knowledge to earn money in this capitalistic society, then I'd be a bum in today's society. Black people,
this is the thing,
we gotta be eating fruits and berries. Y'all think we gotta be eating fruits and berries to be Black? Stop it.
But this is the thing. You don't need wealth to be. See, they call these modern things civilization simply because they're tools which allow large groups of people to civilly, right, live amongst each other. You have roads, you have rules, you have infrastructure that allows you to live a civilized life, right? But it's not necessary that people have to absolutely have to have the same things that Europeans have. And not that I say that people should go back to hunting and gathering. Don't get me wrong. But the civilization isn't the inventions. The
No, but it
inventions are
absolutely is.
tools
No
for
offense,
civilization
brother. You got
where
on a
they are
European
needed for
design suit,
civilization.
and it looks great. You have a European design suit. It looks great, brother. You're fresh. I like it. We can't keep living in the past about this hunter-gatherer nonsense when the hunter-gatherers keep getting kicked off their land and exterminated.
Do you know that Genentech Pharmaceuticals in San Bruno, California had a company, a research and development company called Shaman Pharmaceuticals? I met a young brother, never in person though, I met a young brother who was African-American, who was working for Shaman Pharmaceuticals in the early 90s. They sent him to Congo to study with the traditional herbalists there to get information for them so that they could develop their pharmaceutical company. This is the type of thing I'm talking about, that we're so stuck up in our heads so far up in the white man's ass that we don't even understand the true nature of what a lot of the knowledge is coming from. The knowledge is coming from, in many cases, is coming from the people who are living in the bush.
Yeah, and that's cool. And I would celebrate that. I love to hear stories like that. So I'm not even going to Google it
But
to see if
those are
you're capping right now.
people that
But
have
the
this
fact of the matter
pharmacopoeia
is
knowledge.
that hunter-gatherers get hunted, gathered up, and put in concentration camps in the south of Africa, and then they get their land taken from them. That's a fact.
Would you say the Bedouin of the like Sahel or the Sahara, would you say they're civilized people, like living a nomadic life? Would you say that's civilized?
I mean, I think civilization.
No, I mean, would you say they're civilized people?
I mean, what do you mean? Do they attack people?
Just are they, when you imagine or from what you've seen of those groups of people, how they live amongst each other and how they move, just the type of lives they live, would you say that they're civilized?
I would say that they live a very antiquated lifestyle that no one on this panel would willingly. Hold on, brother. Let me finish, man.
Okay,
I'm gonna give it back to you. Let me finish it. I say they live an antiquated lifestyle that no one on this panel would willingly choose, including you.
Let me read the super chats. Brother Fitzgerald, thank you for the $4.99 holla. Mr. Sandman, 5,000 years ago, there was only a few million humans on the entire planet. We probably all come from Egypt area and migrated across the planet. All right, go ahead.
No, I get what you're saying, where, I may not choose that life for myself, but it's not that I think it's not civilized. It may not be what I would call modern life. It may not offer what I would see as creature comforts, right? But I'm just drilling at the idea of civilized or civilization, right? There are different contexts for it. Like if you take a group of people who live isolated in huts and they have their own customs and ways of life and it's peaceful, they're undisturbed, that's civilized to me.
Yeah, I can agree with what you're saying. I would never call those people savages.
So like, it goes back to what I said though. Necessity is the mother of invention. See, the things that we need to feel comfortable and safe and not exposed sometimes have a lot to do with the type of climate we're in or the environment we're in. We live in a world where it's like America, 350 million people are a village. So in that sense, everybody doesn't know everybody. You can't trust everybody. So you have to go a long way to feel safe and feel like your future is secure in America. So you work hard to gather all of these things that you feel like is going to put you at peace. And sometimes it's just greed. We can't deny that. Sometimes you're just caught up in the shiny things, right? That's dingling in front of you and chasing it. That has a lot to do with it too. But You don't need every ounce of new technology to be civilized.
Listen to this. So the oldest parent culture of all human beings is the Twa and Mbuti and the Khoi and the San people or Kung people. Those are basically the same people. That's the parent culture of all human beings. I met a brother he's about my age, from Congo. He's from those short people, and I met him through the Congolese community in San Francisco Bay Area. Right. So my teachers who knew him introduced me to him, was saying to me, "Hey, you know, his people, they don't even tell lies." I said, "What do you mean?" Because I didn't think they meant it literally, but they literally mean that those people don't lie. And so I remember saying this story in another social media space, and a brother told me that he was an older brother. He said that in the 50s, his dad had told him in the 50s they could leave stuff in a certain place and come back in Nigeria, come back and that thing would be there. Or they would buy stuff and leave the money somewhere, and people would leave their money to buy whatever, and the person could get their money without anybody stealing it. So this is the type of civilized cultures that we come from, in which people had ethical, moral values that you don't see today. And even in Africa, you don't see them today as a result of the breakdown and the degradation of our culture from the Holocaust.
Hey guys, we're gonna go ahead and close out, man. Let's what we'll do. Theo, is there something you want to say? Then we'll close out.
No, I'm good, man. I came in on the last end, but I'm good with that.
For sure. Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining. Like, share, subscribe. Until next time, family, dynasty, mirror, search for Huru. Peace.